Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Josh, and with me is my co-host.
It's your boy, Chayse.
And it is your boy, Nick.
And today we got a good show going to discuss Hubie Halloween, Netflix film, Adam Sandler. Going to discuss the Amazon Prime original film, Black Box. Going to discuss that Boys season finale.
The Boys.
Them boys.
Also going to discuss that Doctor Strange news, as well as that Green Lantern TV show. We're also, and then to cap off the show, we're going to discuss Halloween, favorite movie, things that we think everybody should be checking out, movies that are underrated, underappreciated. So that'd be a nice big thing to cap off the show with. How's everybody doing?
Doing well, man. Can't complain. Just got done working out a little bit. Feeling good.
Hey.
Feeling energized for once in my life. How about you, Nick?
I'm doing good. My girl's got like some stuff planned for my birthday, so that's exciting.
When's your birthday?
Well, for me, it's today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Wish Nick a happy birthday in the comments.
Thanks, guys.
Hold on, let me check something real quick.
Bro, are you fact-checking me?
No, I just want to check. Make sure.
Yo, imagine being fact-checked for your birthday. That's something else.
Hey, if I wanted to lie, I'd be doing more of my Donald Trump voice. It'd be like that. Yep, my birthday is when I say it is.
Wrong. Fake
Wrong.
news.
Fake news. It's a hoax. It's the Democrats' new hoax.
Birthdays are a hoax.
Yeah, I just had to make sure everything was good real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't fact checking your birthday there.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure you didn't check the Carfax?
Yeah, I wasn't looking at his Facebook.
Gone
birthday.
for a while, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. It was good. I was like, because I was worried, like my voice wasn't picking up. That's all. I was just kind of worried about.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just kind of worried.
You gotta start saying shit with your chest.
All right. So yeah, we got a nice packed show tonight. And happy birthday to Nick. Don't think I did that. Don't think I wished him happy birthday. So happy birthday to him.
Thank you.
birthday.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. How old are you, man?
26 today.
26 today. All right. Old ass motherfucker.
Sweet.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. So it's been pretty good for me. Trying to enjoy this October. Trying to really watch some horror stuff, shows, movies. Been mostly doing that. Mostly been binging a lot of stuff. So it's been pretty nice. So it's been pretty good. Yeah. Any of you watch some horror stuff for this October or no?
Oh, just wait.
That evil laugh. I'm about to start watching some stuff to get into the mood. One thing that really didn't get me into the mood though was this Hubie movie.
Oh, I got fucking beef with this fucking movie.
Well, all right. I guess that's the perfect time to go into it. To discuss Hubie Halloween, the movie starring Adam Sandler. It is a movie about a guy who's named Hubie, played by Adam Sandler, who basically is just the town loser here in Salem.
Halloween's upon us!
And everybody hates him. Like
As they should.
From old people to young people, like to middle-aged people, like everybody in this town just despises this guy. And everybody just makes it their personal mission to make his life hell and to just completely bully him. And he's completely oblivious to all the bullying, which is the annoying part.
But he's also a snitch.
I don't think he's so much.
He's basically a PG version of John Travolta's character in The Fanatic.
That's a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's so much oblivious to it as much as he's just kind of it just doesn't phase him as much and just doesn't really all that much care. I don't think, like I think he knows people don't really like him. I think he just doesn't all that much care all that much. But to get into more of what this movie is about, there's been kind of some mysterious people, some mysterious disappearings happening that he has to investigate because, like you said, like Chayse said, he's kind of the town snitch. Everything that happens, even slightly suspicious, he always calls the police, always calls the hotline, to always report something. Even the tiniest little things, he's always doing that with. So it is kind of a slight mystery film, which I will say the mystery of it doesn't maybe go as the way you would maybe expect in some aspects, and it's not as
I expect a mystery to be interesting.
Yeah. I don't think it's as completely lazy as typically as what we maybe normally see in typically the Adam Sandler movies. I don't think it's as
he's not using this movie as an excuse to go on vacation again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's done with movies like Grown Ups or Just Go With It, and he goes on some nice ass vacations. I mean, he really does. Like,
can you blame him?
Yeah, I mean that movie Blended he did with Drew Barrymore, like that was a really nice vacation. I bet, like going to those locations, that was really nice. But also in this film you have usually the Adam Sandler regulars. You got Kevin James, who I don't know why the decision. I don't know why the decision was made for him to look like Dog the Bounty Hunter. I don't know why that.
I thought it was Ethan Suplee for a second.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him until I looked at the casting, and I was just like, wait, that's Kevin?
Actually, Ethan Suplee, have you seen him recently?
Dude's jacked.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight. Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah, good for him.
And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, he was the fat white boy and Remember the Titans. Like
he was Earl's brother in My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, that was also a big role for him. Yeah, he was Earl's brother. My Name Is Earl. Yeah, but now he lost a bunch of weight. He's training. Like he looks totally jacked. Like he turned all that fat into muscle now. Yeah, so I mean, good for him. Shout out for him. But yeah, I mean, so you got Kevin James, you have Steve Buscemi. I don't know what the connection is with Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi. I have no idea what the relationship is between those two. Like, I don't know how those two hang out in the same circle.
He must have some dirt on Steve.
I guess so.
Pretty much like every single big actor that ends up in an Adam Sandler movie, Adam has a file with them fucking a dog, probably.
You also have typical SNL players in here. Like he usually brings in a lot of SNL people. So like Tim Meadows is in here, Maya Rudolph is in here. You also have there's another character like the lady with cats. Like I know she's like an SNL person. There's also like another person at the haunted house with a person with like an axe in his head that shows up for like a brief couple scenes. He's like an SNL guy. So they have also a bunch of SNL people in here along with like Ray Liotta, George Wallace. So in Julie Bowman from Modern Family is also in here. She plays like this love interest for him. Go ahead.
Oh, you also have some younger up-and-coming actors in this. You have Noah Schnapp from who's Will in Stranger Things. You have China Anne McClain from Black Lightning. You have Peyton List, who is just in Cobra Kai.
Yeah. I was he hit a growth spurt, Will from Stranger Things. Yeah. He's much taller now. He doesn't have that stupid ass bowl cut that he did in Stranger Things.
I love that show, but every season I just have to ask, why you gotta do this kid like that?
Yeah, I mean it definitely is. That was a dumbass cut, and he had those tiny ass shorts and little ass shirt and everything like that with them high knee socks.
He's a nerd.
Which was the style in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I will give them that.
He's a nerd. Supposed to look like that. You had to sympathize with how bad he looked.
Yeah, I guess that's.
Yeah.
Also, the shit the kid went through in the first 2 seasons, he can be forgiven for a lot of faux pas.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it also like you start to see like them really like you saw the big age gap of them like kind of like hitting growth spurts like in like the 2nd or 3rd season. Like these don't look like preteen kids anymore. Like these look like full grown teenagers now.
Yeah, they got jobs and shit.
Yeah, I mean pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, is
fucking they look older than fucking Steve.
Yeah, they're over here paying bills and shit.
So as Nick mentioned, you got also a lot of up and coming younger people in here, and so as an addition, actually the girl who is the Black Lightning, China, who's like the daughter in the Black Lightning show, she actually has been in a couple other Adam Sandler movies, like Grown Ups.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah, she's like a regular person who appears in Adam Sandler movies as well.
I just feel so sad now.
And actually, you also have Adam Sandler's own kids who are in this as well. He has his own 2 daughters who make an appearance in the movie as well. Which, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for them. I don't know. But hey, they got to work with their dad, so I guess yeah, good for them. I guess spend time. Let's get into kind of what we liked, what we didn't like a little bit. I will say just right off the bat, it's Adam Sandler doing that kind of Adam Sandler voice that he does.
You mean with the stupid voices and?
Yeah, kind of that water boy type voice. Don't know why he really is talking like that. Don't know if there's really, I don't know what the reason is.
Because it's made him hundreds of millions of dollars, so why stop doing a thing that works?
He doesn't even have a Boston accent with it. Like, at least do the accent.
And I guess, maybe it makes a little bit of sense, because I think they're basically saying that he is somebody as black mamas like to say, the boy is a little touched,
Oh yeah,
very very little touched.
Not a little, very much so.
He wears a helmet.
Wait, touched? Are you saying he was molested, or was he just like mentally challenged?
And black people speak, when somebody says the boy is a little touched, that means he's a little mentally challenged. He's a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that means he's a little slow, something like that. That's what people usually say, or when they
special.
Yeah,
He's special.
Yeah, pretty.
That's
much.
all.
Yeah, So yeah, he wears like this real goofy helmet, and he rides around on a bike everywhere he goes, and he has a thermostat, which the thermostat he has is basically like his utility belt. It's basically like a Batman gadget.
That thing is like Detective Gadget. Like, he has everything in there.
Yeah,
and we're not even kidding. We're not exaggerating one bit.
Yeah. Like he could actually be a superhero with that thermos.
Pretty much.
I half expected him to like pull his shirt open and it'd just be a symbol with the letter H for Hubie.
Because it's like Inspector Gadget. Like, he's got a shovel, he's got an umbrella, a vacuum, a grappling hook in that thing. I'm like, it's like his own personal utility belt. Like, it's amazing. Like, all these different things he'll pull out of it. It's like binoculars. Like, what the fuck is?
And then, like, his reflexes whenever he has it on, as you'll see, when people are like throwing stuff at him, like eggs, he could just whip that thing out, and he's like the fastest man alive, and he catches the egg like a superhero. And then out of nowhere, he just mixes it up, and it's soup now, which doesn't make a single lick of sense, but it works.
Like, he's so used to people like harassing him and throwing things at him, like he can just dodge it, like Neo can dodge bullets in the Matrix. Like,
Facts.
He can just avoid all this stuff because the kids are chasing him, throwing eggs, axes, flamed up dog poop at him.
This could have.
That was one of the few times I actually laughed in this movie. It was one of the, because that's a running joke in the movie. Every time he's like riding in his bike, people are throwing stuff at him, and and when I saw an axe, I just started laughing.
Yeah, that's like one of the few times that this movie shines, is when it goes fully in its absurdity. It shines, but it doesn't go fully into it. So it just continues to fall flat.
It's taking half measures with how absurd it's being.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, he's just so used to it. He just completely avoids all that stuff. And like you said, in the scene where he just, catches an egg, it's like the beginning of the movie, and he just drinks it. Like he just drinks it straight, like catches it right in a thermos and just drinks it straight and just throws up.
And every bit of goodwill I had for this movie went away with that vomit.
Yeah. As soon as that happened, because it happens within like the first like 5-10 minutes, it's like, all right.
No. I was angry before that, because I was angry the second this movie opened when they had that fucking orderly do a Looney Tunes pun.
Oh God. Don't remind me.
My girlfriend was sitting right next to me. She will tell you, the second I heard that, I couldn't hold back. I screamed, "Man, fuck this movie!"
I shoved it deep into the back of my memory, because there is actually a line that made me crack up. It comes when a certain nun appears magically out of nowhere.
I cracked up at that too.
Like, everything with this nun is actually kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie.
Some happy Halloween word churches. You can pass it out to the kids.
Thank you so much.
Everything with that nun is kind of funny. Some of like the extent to which the townspeople fuck with Hubie is kind of funny, especially like Ray Liotta, who like seems to be the most successful person in this town, but he goes out of his way to fuck with Hubie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, just like he makes it his personal mission to fuck with him, no matter what.
And he does some fucked up things to him, which made me laugh.
like, and when we say the whole town, it's the whole town. It's the whole town except for
it's literally the whole town, except for Julie Bowen, who somehow sees this fucking mentally challenged man-child, and she says, "I'ma hit that."
Yeah. He starts dancing like a robot, and the panties just fall off. It's amazing.
This is every Adam Sandler cliche. It's man-child protagonist, a love interest way out of his league that somehow falls for him.
And the world just hates him.
Everyone who's an asshole in this movie is an asshole on the level of a Stephen King bully, or like those bullies in Shazam that run over a crippled kid and then get out to beat him up.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, it's really, really super, over exaggerated, and things like that. In terms of how much they bully him, and I guess it's supposed to really hammer home a point of to really sympathize with him. But I mean, a lot of situations you kind of see like, well, I kind of get why. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, he puts a lot of the situations upon himself. Like, there's a scene where a bunch of the kids, they're at a party. These are, high school kids. They're drinking. They're trying to, hook up. I mean,
they're a horny bunch of teenagers, and you got this fucker that's won't leave him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to beat the shit out of him too.
Yeah. Nah, he had that coming. You're not about to just bust down the party.
You ain't cock blocking me on Halloween and getting away with it, motherfucker.
Facts.
So yeah, like a lot of situations like that, you can understand why. Sometimes the town picks him because he kind of does put him upon himself at times. Also, for some reason, he is so incredibly easily scared of everything. You know what I mean? Like, which begs the question: why is even Halloween one of his favorite holidays? Because it's kind of like he's scared of everything. Like anytime something pops out or something jumps out, like he just freaks out. You know what I mean?
and there's a scene in a haunted house where even like the kids that are like running it, they're getting worried because, oh fuck, I'm not gonna have a job after this.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, you know, like, even stuff that's obviously fake, like, cause like at his job he works at a deli, and there's this kid that pranks him at his deli and like shows him like, you know, rubber rats and stuff like that. Like, he gets freaked out by that, you know. Or when somebody comes in and just says boo, he gets scared and jumps like that. Like, and his whole house is decorated, like it's all decorated in tons of Halloween stuff and these inflatable objects, and he gets scared at stuff that he put up, stuff that is his own decorations.
Maybe he hates himself as much as we do.
Maybe he's bullying himself, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, I mean, you know, like, so I was just kind of,
That's the real story.
A better movie would have delved into that.
Yeah.
like, so it's like it's almost like he's bullying himself, torturing himself, you know, with all this stuff he puts up and everything. But yeah, you know, so in that aspect, it is a little, you know, kind of exaggerated. But I think the whole tone of it, of like why they kind of bully him, is kind of perfectly stated by the actress China, because he goes to the school and gives like the safety briefing, and then he goes to the school dressed in like the most cheapest, it's like the most, like, he gives his piss stained bed sheets and cuts holes in them and just dresses.
Okay, yep. First off, what school board would look at Hubie and say, you know what, let's have this guy be around our children?
He seems like a fine teacher of the youth.
The man is a fucking white panel van away from being a pedophile.
I mean, yeah, because it's just like, so he, yeah, I don't know why would he be allowed to go to the school. I don't know why would they think that, but you know, he goes to the school, and you think like a guy who would take Halloween this seriously would come up with a nice costume or something decent, or maybe, but it was just like basically just the bed sheets from his bed that were all piss stained and cut holes in them, and just a regular ghost, and get his safe.
Nah, he's outstayed his welcome.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, you know, what she says. The China girl who's there, she was just like, you know, one of the girls, she says, like, I don't know, I feel like we're being a little too mean. Like, I feel like she's like, oh no, baby, don't worry, he overstayed his welcome, you know. And that's basically the perfect description of this entire movie, is just somebody that just, you know, overstayed their welcome, basically. You know, somebody that just, you know, it's just a movie with Adam Sandler doing the voice, as he, you know, does the voice, you know, like does these, you know, voices. It's not.
Do you think this is a career metaphor?
No, that was Funny People. Funny People was the career metaphor.
No, I'm talking about the idea of he overstayed his welcome.
I mean, Adam Sandler, I mean, if we look at his career,
I wouldn't say that, because
Okay.
I wouldn't say that because when Adam Sandler tries,
Yeah.
that's when you get stuff like Punch Drunk Love. That's when you get stuff like the Meyerowitz stories. That's when you get Uncut Gems. Is when he gets with people who give a shit.
Yeah, I'm just talking.
And that's why this movie. That's why this movie fucking pissed me off so much, because I just saw Uncut Gems,
Well, he did warn you.
and he is so much better than this.
He did give us a whole warning that if he didn't get the Oscar, or at least a nom, that he was gonna release the worst possible movie of all time. This time.
this isn't
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but this isn't even in the worst Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
This never annoyed me on the level of like Jack and Jill, or fucking Just Go With It.
Yeah. It's very half-assed.
I actually laughed a few times in this movie,
Yeah.
and every time I felt dirty. I needed a shower after watching this movie.
I mean, like you said, I mean, it's not one of his worst movies.
It's not his worst movie, but it is the one that has made me the most angry.
Okay, I'd be interested to hear why, because I mean, I haven't seen this is my first Adam Sandler Netflix movie. Like, I didn't watch Ridiculous 6, I think was right. I didn't watch that one.
You didn't miss anything.
I didn't watch Murder Mystery, which was the other one. And so
I
I
didn't miss anything.
Yeah, so I haven't seen any of the other Adam Sandler Netflix films. From what I understand, they're all not that good. So with this one, so I'm interested to understand just from you guys, like what were your general thoughts on the movie?
It's just half-assed. There's a plot twist that, albeit I didn't quite predict it, but it's just very lazy and shoehorned in there at the end.
You can't predict it because it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. They have a few, potential red herrings that were intriguing to explore, but they just didn't. That's where Steve Buscemi's character comes into. I felt like, there could have been something funny or interesting with him that they just kind of playfully ignored. And it just, it's just a lot of half-ass ideas, a few good jokes here and there. And I just wish that, I respect Adam Sandler for his longevity on making his films the way he wants to make them, as bad as he wants to make them. He just has a good time with his friends and family. That's cool. But I just wish that if he were to continue making movies, it would come from a more genuine artistic place, and that when he's writing it himself, he would find a tone and stick to it. The scenes with Hubie riding his bike and almost getting hit by an axe and stuff like that is hilarious. Go full force in it and just be absurd as possible, because then it could be funny. And the nun needs more screen time.
Yeah, this is one of the more frustrating movies I've seen, because I know how much better Adam Sandler is than this movie. Because we all saw Uncut Gems, right? We all know how great Adam Sandler can be as an actor when he is in a project that with good material and when he gives a shit. This just feels like one of the laziest movies I've ever seen, and I agree with you, Chayse. There are some moments that made me laugh, like Ray Liotta fucking with Hubie, people throwing stuff at Hubie when he's riding his bike. That was actually funny the first few times I saw it, but like every single funny joke in this movie, they repeat it over and over until it's run into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, when it comes to laziness of it, like, because when they reveal the twist of it, it's like, well, okay, how did that happen? Like, how? I mean, like, because you don't really see it coming, because, like you said, it is kind of stupid. It is kind of doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I do think they didn't go with the immediate first thing of laziness of what it could have been. So I maybe give it some kind of credit for that, because it's like it could have just gone with this other basic excuse of why these disappearings are kind of happening with the townspeople. So I maybe give it a little something for that. I think that some of the other moments, in the film, like, other than Adam Sandler himself playing Hubie, there's no other kind of, because typically in an Adam Sandler movie, you'll find characters that are very weirdly offensive, like a stereotype in some way, whether it's like an ethnic stereotype or gay stereotype or something like that. You don't really find that nowhere in this movie. The typical Adam Sandler people like Kevin James, I don't think is all that annoying really as the cop he plays. Steve Buscemi, I think, had the role as the neighbor. I think he's decent enough that provides some kind of okay laughs. Steve Buscemi is, it's kind of, he's playing a role that he was kind of born to play, and in some aspects, the kind of the creepy.
But what did he do?
Well, he was kind of playing like the creepy, creature-looking guy, who's your neighbor, which is like, I mean, you look at Steve Buscemi's face. I mean, that's kind of what he was born to be, kind of the creature next door,
Yeah, Josh, I agree, but like, what did he do? What was his impact on the plot?
I thought he was. I mean,
There wasn't any.
I mean,
Yeah,
I thought
that's
he.
the
Here,
problem.
I'm gonna let you finish. There wasn't any.
That's the problem, Josh.
Well, I mean, you didn't think he was enjoyable at all.
I never
So-
said that. He is enjoyable in the
Yeah.
few moments he has. He's actually like really pulled back and is actually like a cool character, but he's not in it enough.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't
every
have an
scene
arc.
of his, every scene he's in is just like a non sequitur.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so, but I think there's still some good scenes in him that does make it enjoyable. And then you have Shaq, who's in this, who in the scene he's in, I think he's pretty decent. It's
He actually made me laugh.
yeah, I think.
I never knew that was actually a really funny moment with Shaq.
I mean, it's the funniest I've seen Shaq, who's been like kind of, intentionally funny, not unintentionally funny, like in something like, Kazam or something like that. You know what I mean? Something like this, just laughing at still laughing at how bad his acting is. Like, he's actually kind of decent. You know what I mean? He's actually kind of decent, and I thought his scene was nice. It does have that, like you said, a typical Adam Sandler trope of you have this very attractive woman who, for whatever reason, not only likes you because even though you are this complete man-child and complete, just buffoon and idiot, like there will always be a woman that will not only like you but be in love with you, obsessed with you.
Big simping.
It was absurd until it's like revealed that her ex-husband in the movie was Kevin James, and then suddenly it made a lot more sense.
She has a type.
Yeah,
I mean,
man
fuck ugly man children.
I mean, it does have that conventional kind of Adam Sandler thing going on with it. So I mean, whatever. I mean, that's just kind of his thing. Take it or leave it. In these type of movies, it's completely ridiculous. And they try to tack on like a little bit of a message at the end. That's like, okay, that just kind of falls flat. I'm just gonna give my final thoughts here since I'm already kind of in the middle of them anyway. I was really, I guess, expecting maybe worse, and I guess I was kind of prepping myself for that. You know what I mean? But like you said, I don't think this is even the worst Adam Sandler movie. Comparing to something like Jack and Jill or Little Nicky, it doesn't even that's a whole nother tier of shittiness. I also don't think, I mean, not to say like that doesn't mean I necessarily mean go out and rush to go see it. Even though it's at home on Netflix, readily available for you to see. It's a waste of time, I think, in that aspect. If maybe you caught it somewhere else, maybe saw a couple scenes here and there, maybe you'll find some enjoyment out of it. But overall, like, it's not that good, and because of that, I'm going to give it a 4, maybe strong light 4, strong 4, light 5, maybe out of 10. What do you guys think?
So I will admit, all right, I came into this movie expecting a 0, but I did get a 2. So I laughed a couple times. No, actually, I take that 2 back. I give it 1 single thermos out of 10.
One, just one.
So here's my reasoning, right? I can't, in good nature, storytelling, give this any more than a 1 to a light 2, because there's no real story. It's just a lot of bad ideas and half-ass jokes with a few good laughs, but a single thermos, a single magical thermos.
Nick?
Alright, like I mentioned before, that this isn't even the worst Adam Sandler movie. This isn't bad on the level of like Jack and Jill or Little Nicky or Just Go With It. This is just very, very middle of the road. However, it's just really frustrating because Uncut Gems didn't come out that long ago. It came out like late last year, and it shows how much talent Adam Sandler can show when he actually gives a shit. There are a few moments in this movie that I genuinely laughed, but it was never with Hubie. It was always when he was off screen or when it was like one of the other side characters, like all the scenes with like Tim Meadows and Maya Rudolph. I laughed during those. And this is just it's rare that I start angry with a movie with like a bunch of bad puns, gross out jokes, and running jokes that just get run into the ground. I did laugh during this movie, but every time I felt dirty and the need for a shower. So this movie gets half of one thermos out of 10. This is 0.5.
Not even a full thermos?
No, I was mad.
Wow. No, I didn't think I was the one I was gonna give it the highest review, the highest score.
You're too gentle on these bad
Adam
movies,
Sandler,
man.
Adam Sandler, do better, man. Come on.
We know you can.
I'm too gentle on these bad movies.
Yeah, man.
You're gone soft, boy.
You're going soft.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, I couldn't work up any hatred for it. I mean, I just thought, the voice, even the voice, like when I saw the trailer for this, even seeing the voice, I was like, oh man, that's gonna really piss me off throughout that whole movie. But I don't know. I mean, whatever, he does the voice and whatever. I mean, he does it and it's fine, and it's like, okay, whatever, you know. It's not the most, like I said, it's not the most annoying Adam Sandler voice I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Like, you know, compared to like the other things he's ever done, and whatever. It's,
I mean, nothing will compare to the girl from Jack and Jill. It's like, I gotta make her she squat.
yeah.
Nothing will be as aggravating as that.
Yeah, so, you know, like that, and like there was some good gags in it. Like I like the Harley Quinn thing. Like all the that was fun.
Feels like a joke. Felt like a joke that was like 3 years too late.
Yeah, maybe, because I don't know if that's not even like the most popular female costume anymore, is it? Like women dressing up as Harley Quinn.
Fuck if I know. I mean, there were a lot last Halloween up here in Japan.
It'll come back next Halloween when Suicide Squad comes out.
Yeah. It was funny though that because there's a scene where a little girl dresses as Harley Quinn.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because I was like, oh shit, this ain't gonna make people who didn't like cuties.
Yeah. Look at all these hypocrites. Not one outcry. Not one cancel Adam Sandler. You bunch of hypocrites.
Nah, bro, he's white. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. The little girl dressed as Harley Quinn. I actually thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh shit.
It was funny because of like how sad the character's dad looked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the Halloween scene in Mean Girls. It's like the mom is all for it and the dad just looking sad.
Just depressed. What did I raise?
All right. Okay, so moving on from discussing Hubie Halloween, going to discuss Black Box, which is the Amazon Prime original film. In the film, it follows a man who got into a car accident and lost his wife, and then after he got into a car accident, it severely affected his mind. He had severe brain injuries. He was in a coma for 3 days, as the film says, and actually declared brain dead one of those days, and miraculously woke up the third day. And in the film, you see, as you know, it's going through his life afterwards, and with him and his daughter basically is running the show. I mean, she's basically the one in charge. I mean, she's the wife, she's the mother. You know what I mean? Like, she's basically, you know, ever since the mother has been gone, I mean, she's the one that's preparing dinner. She's the one that's reminding him to pick her up from school, to drop her off at school, for him to wake up, for him to eat breakfast. You know what I mean? I mean, she's basically there on top of him, you know, every step of the way, ever since the mother's gone. And it, you know, I mean, kudos to her, because I mean, he's basically being, you know, taken in charge. I mean, she's only what, like maybe 10 or 11, maybe. And you see, like, ever since after this accident, his life is just kind of completely kind of going more and more in shambles. As you see, like, he tries to go get his old job back. They won't allow him back. It's like, well, you know, because he was a photographer, and tries to go and get his job back, and it's like, yeah, I mean, we don't think we want you back anymore. Sorry what happened to you and all, but it's just like your photos just don't have that same spark as they used to. So, you know, we kind of don't want you here anymore. You know what I mean? And then, you know, issue with him constantly have this issue of short-term memory, because you see he leaves notes everywhere, you know, kind of in the house, like these little notes and everything to help remind him, because his short-term memory is so bad. He keeps forgetting. Sometimes he forgets to pick up his little girl from school, and, you know, one time he forgets again, and this is like the third time he's done it. And then a teacher comes, she drops him off at the house and says, like, okay, if this happens again, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to call child services about this if this keeps happening again. Which, you know, really leads him to really, you know, seek help, especially when he sees a TED Talk on television, which is done by Felicia Rashad, who's this doctor who says, you know, she's this leading person who can help people who suffered brain damage. And, you know, she's a person that can help with something, you know, like along the lines of his injury. So that intrigues him. So he goes to see her and starts beginning these treatments in order to help him, you know, regain his memory, help him with his brain damage. And I will say that, you know, it's a very solid film when it comes to the performances. And, you know, I think everybody does a pretty good job. It feels a lot like, kind of like it would be maybe better as an episode of Black Mirror, because I don't know if it's a concept that really is very good, because this is an hour and 40 minutes. It's not that long, but like, maybe if it was like better, maybe I think it would maybe suit better as like that kind of episode of kind of Black Mirror, because it like you know, has a little bit of a twist there. I don't really think you need to make it that long. Because sometimes Black Mirror episodes can be an hour and 10, sometimes an hour and 20, sometimes if the material calls for it. And I think this is kind of what it feels like. I don't know. I mean, what did you guys think about that?
Personally, I don't think that it's too long. I just think that it doesn't use its time as wisely as I think it should have. It has a very interesting twist that I feel like wasn't explored as much as it could have been.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with you. I feel like I think this moves really too slowly, and the first act for me, it felt really soap opera-y. It felt like it felt like everyone was just playing up emotion a little too cheesily, but then the twist happens and it gets downright insane, but it also doesn't really commit to that insanity. This is kind of like Get Out meets Total Recall, but it isn't committing to either being completely insane or really topical. And something that I don't think we mentioned, this is a Blumhouse movie. This is produced by Jason Blum. And they're very hit or miss. Sometimes you get something amazing like Whiplash or Get Out, and on the other end you get shit like Fantasy Island or Truth or Dare.
Yeah, and I could definitely see some of those influences, but the problem is I feel like it doesn't really have a tone for most of the movie. that it sticks to.
Not every movie needs to have a consistent tone, but when you're using that tone, you have to commit to that in the moment.
Yeah, true.
And this really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like once the twist happens, you can get really psychedelic. You can get really terrifying. You can get into like issues of identity, but it doesn't really do that.
Yeah. That twist. I feel like if they had committed at least 20 more minutes to that twist in terms of his struggle of identity, I felt like it could have been better off for it.
It feels like they were trying to write a twist on the level of something like Fight Club. And something that they were setting up to, okay, when people rewatch this, they'll see where we were laying the breadcrumbs for this.
And there are pretty nice breadcrumbs laid out, and you'll see why things are the way they are with him.
Yes, but it's also Shyamalan syndrome. You can't write your movie around a twist.
Yeah. There's not enough character struggle after the twist, and there's not enough character struggle before it, aside from him just losing his memory.
To your point, Chayse, saying like when the twist happens, there's just not enough time spent with it to really, explore it enough to make it that interesting, or them to do enough with it or play around with it. It did probably need a little bit more time to really explore those themes. I also think that's go ahead.
Granted, low-key kind of plug-in. That's a twist that I'm actually working on right now in terms of writing. So to see this, I was kind of just like, oh wow, that's cool, but like, this is where I'm going with this. This is how deep I'm going with this. This is how this affects his family life. This is how this affects this, that, the third.
Right.
So to see them kind of, shove that aside, it was kind of disheartening. To see that not truly be the struggle that it could have been was disheartening.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best not to spoil this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, it just tries its best to kind of do something with it, and I don't think it executes it that properly. And I think with it, because that's why I said I think like it being an episode of like it feels kind of like an episode of Black Mirror, kind of one of maybe their weaker kind of episodes, maybe, or
this feels like it was this idea was written on a napkin and it was in Charlie Brooker's garbage, and somebody was dumpster diving.
Damn.
It's not bad. I'm just saying that in jest.
Yeah.
And since we're on the bad of this movie, how much did you guys like the musical cues whenever something would happen? They just play the generic. Whenever something bad would happen, it would be
so
like
manipulative.
It was just too on the nose.
That's one of my most hated cliches. It's like really generic musical cues in movies.
Yeah. There's some.
The score of your movie should augment the emotion. It shouldn't drive you to it.
Yeah.
Because this movie's done by a first time. I think one or more, like it's like kind of like he's done short films before, but this is I think his first like feature film. So
it feels like it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think looking at this film, there's some good things in it that I think you could take and he could apply to other elements. Because the whole thing of when he actually goes into treatment with Felicia Rashad, and the main lead actor in this, his name is let's see.
Mamadou Athie.
Yeah, Mamadou Athie. He actually goes into treatment and like it's the whole thing of going into these memories. I don't know if it was maybe budget constraints because he only goes to like 3 memories. It's only like three memories he goes to. I mean, it's kind of cool.
this is a Jason Blum movie. You're getting maybe $20.
Yeah.
You're getting enough money to rent out a couple Airbnbs.
Not even. Not even. They snuck in there.
So I mean, this whole treatment of talking about, it's like, okay, we're gonna really go into your memories and you're gonna explore these things and fix them and do all this other stuff. It's like he only really goes to 3. It's like 3 kind of things. It's like his wedding day. It's a scene like in an apartment, and then it's a scene. What's the other one? I think the scene at like a room, just like a bedroom or something. So it's only like three memories that you kind of see there. And I mean, some of the effects, of when he kind of goes into these memories, I think they look pretty good. And the whole thing with the blurred faces, because like when he goes in these memories, like people have these kind of blurred faces, he can't make them out 100%. That's kind of, I think, kind of creepy in a little aspect. There's also this creature, in these memories that's following him around. I kind of have a thing that kind of creeps me out sometimes with people, like their bones, hearing bones break and crack and things like that. Like I kind of have a thing with that just kind of disturbs me a little bit. I find very creepy. So that, I mean, something like that kind of creeps me out, and kind of, it did kind of make a generic kind of like monster noise, like like as he was kind of kind of cracking and things like that. But I thought certain elements like this creature kind of following him around in these memories did look pretty good. And as we talked about, in something like Scare Me, with kind of like a horror film that really uses its budget very wisely. It's very creative in a lot of the aspects of really using its budget and everything. I think there's some aspects where this film does it as well, where it does kind of use its concept. It doesn't, I don't know if it probably didn't have enough money to fully execute the concept, because this is relies a little bit more on effects and kind of bringing that up, putting it into the story. But I still do think it does a very good job at kind of taking you into the memories. It's a cool idea that just doesn't work out 100%, but I do like it, and I do like a little bit of the things they do with it. And I mean, what did you all think about just of what was done with the whole memory stuff, and just like when he was going to go see Felicia Rashad? Like, what did you think about that?
So my personal take on it was that although yes, it's interesting, there wasn't enough. There should have been at least maybe 5 to 6 memories at least. Just because I feel like there's yes, the memories that are shown are impactful to this character, as we find out, but there's more to life than just those 3 memories.
Right, yeah.
And there's a particular memory that I wish that they had foreshadowed a little bit sooner, because it plays a very big part in the end. And that could have been the 4th memory, rather than it just be those 3. To go back to the effects, though, I do think so the blurred face thing, I think that's an interesting take on that, because in dreams they say you don't really see faces, you just see kind of like a blurred image that your mind misconstrues as a person, and some of the faces that you do see you may have seen subconsciously, just in passing, which I think is cool. They could have played with that. But the monster, I like the cracking bones effect. I like the contortionist sort of walk that it does. Like you said, I'm not a big fan of the growl, but it works. Like I was disturbed. How about you, Nick?
I feel like watching this movie, I could feel the movies that inspired this. Like the contortionist, the cracking, even the growl. I was feeling like the original Ju-on. This movie's like heavily inspired by Total Recall and Get Out. But yeah, going back to like last week, what scared me is like you can use cliches and wear your influences on your sleeve, but you have to do something interesting with them. This has a great premise, but it doesn't really execute it all that well. The performances in this, I think, are fantastic. Mamadou Ati, I think, is the lead in this. I think he's giving a really great performance, especially once the twist happens and he has to do something other than what he was doing with his character prior to that happening. And I think Felicia Rashad is great in this. I also really like the actress playing his daughter. She's playing that cliche of the really precocious kid in a sci-fi horror movie, but it never really felt annoying. It felt really genuine and realistic for this story.
For me, she was kind of carrying the first act. I'm not gonna lie.
What did you think about his doctor friend, Toshin?
His uncle, brother.
That was his
that
brother?
his brother?
I thought that was just his friend.
I think it was like a friend. They don't really say who he is.
Okay. Because I remember the daughter saying that's her uncle, so I was just like, is that his brother?
I mean, I've had
Family
friends that I still call uncle. So.
Yeah, so do I. Could also be like a godfather type of thing where, like I call my godfather uncle. Well, I feel like most people do. They don't just call him godfather.
It's like, what are you doing, godfather?
Yeah, I thought. What did you think about him? The actor who played his father. I mean, his brother. I mean, his friend or whatever the fuck he is.
His brother friend.
I think he's giving a good performance. I just wish we spent more time with him, because a lot of the more reality bending stuff that goes on, he becomes very much the sounding board for Nolan, which is the lead's character's name. And I just wish we could spend more time with him, because we're shown memories that may or may not be real, and he is supposed to be our sounding board, and he's supposed to like question, all right, are we dealing with an unreliable narrator in this movie? But he's not around enough for that doubt to really set in before the twist happens.
Maybe what they could have done was, since this is a transitional period for the main character's life, he might have had to have moved in with his friend for the time being, and maybe that could have solved the problem. So it's more so they're in the same vicinity now, rather than 2 houses apart and many jobs apart.
So, final rating?
I give it. I think I'll just. I can't give it anything higher than a 5. It's just. There's some good things about it, but there's a lot of cheesiness with it, with the music cues. Some of the sound design is a little bit cheesy. The effects are solid. The twist could have been spent a lot more time on. And I feel like some of the characters could have used a little bit more development, but it's not terrible. It's just average. It's mid. So it's a 5.
Yeah. A 5. Okay. Nick?
Yeah, with most Blumhouse movies, sometimes they hit and they're amazing, and you get stuff like Get Out, Whiplash, the sequel to Halloween, I should say. And sometimes you get shit like Paranormal Activity, or Truth or Dare, or Fantasy Island, or the remake of Black Christmas. This falls somewhere kind of in the middle. Nothing is outright bad in this. Like performances are really good. The concept itself is really, it's an interesting idea, but nothing is executed to live up to its potential. I feel like this should have been maybe shorter or done like as a Black Mirror episode, because once the twist happens, there's still like 40 minutes left in the movie, and it doesn't really feel impactful. So I think this is, I agree with you, Chase. I feel like I can't give this anything higher than 5 out of 10. It's not terrible, and it's worth a watch, and I'd be curious to see what this director does next. But he definitely has a lot of kinks to work out, and this definitely feels like a first full-time feature.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I really hated? The ending is a sequel bait, dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't with that.
That was strange. I didn't understand that. Like,
Yeah, this is not the movie to do a trilogy off of.
I didn't get that, but
You could barely do a full length movie with it. So nah, put that away, dog.
yeah.
Keep that.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I was like, why are you trying to, like, what is this? I didn't really understand that, like, trying to plan for a sequel or something like that. I was like, okay, I didn't really get that. But to just follow up with what both of you all said. Yeah, I think it's a solid film. It's like I said, it's pretty just average. It's okay. Definitely feels like a film made by kind of like a first-time director. Interested to see what he does next. With his next project. Interested to see, because I think there's some good concepts, good ideas, good vision that I can see later applied to other films. So I will be kind of looking out to see what he does next. I think it's, a nice movie, like I said, decent enough to just watch it home. It's on Amazon Prime, just, perfect, decent little thing to kind of see at home. I also think that, it seems like a concept that would have been better maybe served as like an anthology, part of like an anthology episode on an anthology horror series, like maybe Channel Zero, like maybe something like Black Mirror, maybe, maybe I'm thinking a lot of Black Mirror because just of the pure tech aspect of it, of like you have this technology that, allows you to go in these memories and what they kind of do with that. So maybe that's why I'm drawing a lot of comparisons to something like that. I think, everybody in the film did a solid job. Felicia Rashad, it's good to see her in something that's not a Tyler Perry movie. I'm always happy when she gets work outside of that, which is pretty nice. So for me, I will give it a 6 out of 10, light 6 out of 10 for me. So like I said, if people want to check it out, and also I'm always good to see Black people in a movie, especially kind of in a horror kind of theme. That's always kind of nice to see. It's
also being smart and not conveying any stereotypes at all. It's nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, they're just regular people. You know what I mean? Like regular people, dark skin actors as well. Even though I mean, they don't really have a lot. You don't have any dark skinned women in here, but
yeah. I was about to say they have a lot of light skinned children for being so dark skinned.
Yeah, but but gotta work on that.
It's cool,
But it's a light 6 out of 10 for me. All right, so gonna move on from Black Box to discuss The Boys season finale.
The Boys.
Yeah, a lot happened in this episode. Great season finale. Anybody want to take it off? Discuss it? Or you want me to go ahead?
We could just take it, like, if you want, beat by beat. There's a lot to talk about and unpack with every scene, pretty much.
Okay. So, a lot of the episode discusses the start of it, where we see kind of takes kind of right after where we see the scene of them in the last episode when they were watching the whole C-SPAN trial and on C-SPAN and everything like that, and the heads exploding.
What the fuck do we do now?
and it kind of follows right after that, and then finally they just kind of go like, you know what, in this episode, Butcher and the gang just kind of, you know what, just fuck it. I mean, like we've tried to do it the right way. We tried to go through all the proper channels, do the right thing, and where this gotten us, it's just it's us chasing the fucking coyote. It's us chasing the wild coyote every single.
And that was my favorite moment in the trailer. Is like Huey is saying, "Hey, we can't solve this by killing all of them," and Kimiko just walks by with an RPG, and you can feel, not with that attitude, we can't.
You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I mean they're just finally done with it. I mean they're just gonna find, it's like, hey, we tried to go through all the proper channels, none of it's worked. Like we're just gonna kill them. I mean it's just that it's just that simple.
All you need is an AR-15 and meat meat, no more.
Just light them up.
Yeah.
See what happens.
You know,
see how durable they really are.
Yeah. And while this is happening, you see Rebecca, who's come to Butcher because you saw in the last episode they took Ryan, and they're holding them, and then she's going to him for help. And it's also the time the gang gets to meet Rebecca. They've never met her before, and they're just kind of just enthralled with her and just kind of fawning all over. It's like, oh, you're the person Butcher likes. You know what I mean? That's in love with, like, that's just funny to see. You know what I mean? And
I was like, you're the reason that we've been doing all this shit.
Fuck off, you little.
I thought that was a pretty funny scene. The show, I mean, always continues to do a really good job blending, serious moments with funny moments. It's what Eric Kripke, I mean, he's done just such a great job, I think, showrunning the show. Seeing him when he did Supernatural, like that was always like a real thing I loved about Supernatural, like how funny that show could be, blending kind of the drama and the elements of that show, and see him come on and do this is really, really good. And I really like his abilities quite a bit with this show. And with you see him talking to Becca about trying to go get Ryan. He sets up a deal with Stan Edgar, and with that was very interesting. That, I mean, he would even meet with him in the first place, and like how he would even have his information.
That was my favorite scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene. Yeah.
Well, not my favorite scene out of the whole episode, but like one of my favorite scenes, just to see how Edgar thinks. Because I mean, we kind of had the idea that he was like a sleazy businessman, but I love the few moments of humanity that he gives out when Butcher is pressing him about Stormfront. He's like, you should look yourself in the mirror because that bitch does not like you. And he's like, oh yeah, I know she's racist. But I'm using this to meet an end. And we'll cross the bridge of getting rid of her when we need to.
I mean, because I know you've constantly talked about in when we've discussed multiple episodes, just about how like you would want to see a scene between him and her, and what that would be like, and what does he think of her. And there was a lot of that episode, like there was Stormfront talking about him and saying like, well, he is smart. I mean, especially for, I mean, if you count his kind, I mean, yeah, he is kind of smart, and that scene between Butcher and Edgar, you see that he's like, yeah, it's a means to an end. I mean, my job is to sell as much Compound V as I possibly can. I mean, that's my job. And Stormfront, and her whole thing is like, she inspires anger gets people scared, and then all that leads into people wanting to get all this Compound V, and I'm doing my job. So it's all about the business. And like you said, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. And as he says, which kind of even resonates with Butcher, as he says like, well, hey, listen, I'm a minority here. You know what I mean? I don't have the luxury of lashing out with anger as maybe you would do, because I'm not you. I'm not a white guy, so I don't have that luxury. You know what I mean? To do those things, I have to play the game and be the best at it, and be the most ruthless at it. Which I think really resonated with Butcher. But that whole scene, it just like, I mean, him being a smarter guy as he is, I'm like, okay, you say, I mean, maybe he had some contingency plans in place, but being as smart of a guy as he is, you would think like he would realize like, okay, well, you know the people that Stormfront likes more than anybody else, and you know like what she's gonna be trying to do if she has this whole army of people that are following her. So I mean, don't you think that like didn't he think that'd be very dangerous? You know what I mean? To have all these armed white supremacists walking around. I mean, you would think that's kind of very, very, very short-sighted in a way, like to start like this huge war.
So I think he always had a contingency plan for her, and I think that plan was kind of revealed at the end, because you find out that he's basically manipulating both sides, and when he's playing both sides, you could just have an endless conflict and continue to profit off of it. So that's what I think his thing is.
Okay. Nick, what?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like most of what Edgar does, it's in the interest of making a profit. Sometimes you got to play a little dirty to get paid, and I think that's what he's doing. He's allying himself with a Nazi purely for profit.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, maybe he did, maybe have that idea that like he always had, he had a plan for Stormfront, and he was gonna come out on top no matter what.
And you get the feeling like there's a little closer relationship between him and the guy running the Church of the Collective, who's been collecting dirt on every suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you get the feeling like when Edgar needs someone gone, he goes to him, because there's definitely hints that they've had a prior relationship.
Yeah.
Or he goes to his friendly neighborhood congressman.
Yeah, which we'll get into that later on. But that leads into another point you mentioned, the Church of Collective. So Edgar goes to meet with the leader of the Church of Collective, offers him a fresca. He says, "Nah, that shit's fucking terrible. Get the shit out of my fresca." Yeah,
it is.
You know what I mean? Like that shit's terrible. Which seemed like the guy took offense to that. He was just like, "Oh man, that kind of hurt his feelings." He was like, "Man, I like fresca." But so they're sitting around, they're discussing who to bring back into the Seven. So it looks like the Church Collective was good on their promise of trying to bring back them into the Seven, which I kind of thought was bullshit. I just thought they would just, they were still using them for money and everything like that, especially the Deep. You know what I mean? Because he signed over his whole bank account to them. You know what I mean? And everything. So, but it seems like they were trying to make good on their promise of trying to get them back into the Seven. And they mentioned that, they're trying to work out a deal. They're like, okay, well, we can get the Deep back in, but we can't get A-Train back in. And we know why A-Train can't come back. We know why his ass can't come back. And this whole time, unbeknownst to them, is that A-Train is sitting there listening and hearing the conversation between the two of them, striking a deal saying that, okay, well, we'll leave out A-Train, but we'll bring back the Deep, because one has been coming back, that's redemption, but two, it just seems desperation. That just seems like, it looks like weakness. So he hears that and gathers up this information that he overheard in the meeting about Stormfront, that heard like them having these files about her. And then he goes and gets those files and delivers them to Huey and to Starlight.
You know what the craziest thing about that scene was, though?
What?
So if you notice the napkin kind of flutter.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be A-Train running by.
Yeah.
And at first I was just like, he might be one of the slowest speedsters. He has a heart problem too. But like, damn, like he like flew by that waiter without even breaking him into pieces. And then was able to get into the door and make it seem like he wasn't even there. Like you didn't hear the door creak or nothing.
Yeah.
That dude is fast.
That was a really nice scene. The way they did it, like the napkin, you saw that like it moved, like you saw this kind of brush of wind. That was a pretty nice scene, the way they did that, to know like, okay, well, somebody's in the room else, overhearing. And he delivered this information to Huey and Starlight, because
Fuck that Nazi bitch.
they're looking for information themselves about Starlight because they're like, okay, before we
Stormfront.
Stormfront. It's like, okay, because they're trying to calm the boys down. They're like, okay, before we just go off guns blazing, let's just try at least one more thing, before we start doing that. Starlight goes to Queen Maeve to try to ask her for help, and Queen Maeve is just she's still kind of just smoking, drinking. And I like how everybody just addresses Huey just as like just this complete weakling. They can just sense it. They can just sense like, oh my god, like this dude is just soft. This boy is he's a Twinkie, a twink. Like he's just pure, just soft. You know what I mean? Like he just
called him a twink.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, it's just like everybody can just sense it. It's just like amazing.
He gets called a twink, cuck fluffer.
God damn.
Huey gets the worst roast of the season.
And yeah, so she goes to her for help, and she's just too broken down and just depressed to do anything because she's just like nothing changes. You know what I mean? Like, because Starlight asked her to testify. It's like, okay, that's just suicide. I mean, you already saw what happened already when somebody tried to testify. What do you think is going to happen when I try to testify? I mean, it's just complete suicide, and she tells him to fuck off. And luckily, like, just good information falls in the lap because A-Train delivers him with all this information.
My bad. So before we go on to A-Train, I wanted to ask about. So my slightest critique about Maeve's character in this episode was that we didn't get to see her change of heart until she, just popped in. I guess you could argue that maybe because when she was looking at Stormfront, when she was walking by, you could say that, oh, maybe that's when the ideas were hatching. But like, I felt like we could have been served a scene where she was having a change of heart to some degree. But yeah, keep going.
What do you think about that point, man?
Let's see. I'd agree with you that that her change of heart feels sudden for this episode, but it was also kind of being set up throughout the season.
How so?
Well, I think like with Maeve trying to gather dirt on Homelander, going back to the wreckage of the plane, trying to figure out what's going on, figure out how to like get Homelander off her back. I feel like that was like the real turning point for her.
I was just saying, like, I wish like there was like a scene or like even just like a look or like a moment where you could see that the gears were turning, that she was going to go through with what she went through. But still, like, regardless, everything she did was satisfying. Regardless, that's just my personal like little nitpick, because there's really nothing else wrong with this episode.
I see your point a little bit, but I'll follow up on that point in a little bit.
Everything else is amazing.
And then, so while they're disappointed that Queen Maeve rejected their offer, they're riding around. A-Train shows up and delivers them information that basically just lays it all out. That Stormfront's a Nazi, and she's basically over 100 years old, and she's got all this information, this huge file on her, and they just basically just get delivered a gift. And also with another really great line in this episode, A-Train just simply says, "Fuck that Nazi bitch," and just speeds away. You know what I mean? Like, one of the great lines of this episode. And then as it follows up after that, you see that them delivering the information to the boys, them going over it, them sending out all the information. What did you all think about the scenes with Homelander and his son? Like, did you think that was like genuinely him, being a good father, trying to, maybe he was trying to be good at it or being genuine? I mean, what did you all think about those scenes?
I think he was actually trying. Like, I could, especially when he rushes over to Ryan to see if he's okay, and he guides him out, and then he tells him the story that he had a similar situation. That's a Homelander that we haven't seen before. He's not the type of dude. He's a macho man. He's not the type of dude to admit that he may have cried before, that there was a moment where he was scared. So to see that play out and him try to connect with Ryan, I thought that was like wholesome. That's about as wholesome as this show has ever gotten, to be honest with you. Made me almost forget that he was a sick psychopath.
Yep, you almost forget, and then the scene with the Vought Securities team happens. And then you're
you
reminded.
are very quickly,
Oh.
very quickly reminded.
Because you see, like Ryan is at the Vought facility, and Ashley's trying to take care of him, and her hair is falling out because she's under so much stress, basically. And
Can you blame her?
No, I mean, she's probably scared every single day of her life, especially after, going through a terrorist incident, basically, you know what I mean? Like, she's probably scared, has severe PTSD. She's already got PTSD from just being with Homelander, period, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then a terrorist incident happened on top of that, so that probably even gives her an extra amount of stress, so her hair is falling out and everything. So she's trying to spend time with Ryan, and but he's all cooped up here, and this scene's like, okay, well, hey, we'll go and take you out, and everything like that. Take him to a restaurant, Planet Vought. It's just amazing how this company, it's almost kind of treated like, in a way, like F Society is treated like in Mr. Robot. Like, they're just in every kind of facet of life, just like restaurants and technology, movies, television. It's just like every facet of life it's just basically a part of. They got their hands in everything, terrorism, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like every way they can possibly make money, they're making it, you know what I mean? It's just amazing. And they go there, Planet Vought, this restaurant for basically all the heroes. And you see, like, and it goes to what Becca said about Ryan, of like, hey, you bring him out into the real world with all these people, it's just going to be very scary and very confusing for him, and you see that, him being surrounded by all these people who want to take pictures with Homelander and Stormfront and do all these things. And, you just kind of see how overwhelming that is. And so he basically takes him, Homelander does, to the cabin that is that the same cabin that he was with Doppelganger in?
Yes, it was. Do you think he washed the sheets
I hope he did
before they sat?
Jesus, I hope he did.
I think there might be some milk stains here.
You know what I mean? To that same cabin. And he's trying to tell him about, which is kind of like intimate moment, trying to tell him about hey, when I was your age, I was scared too, you know what I mean? I even cried. I mean, I didn't cry that much though, because I'm a man. I cried like once or twice, you know what I mean? But so you see that, and like I said, there's some those are some kind of good moments that kind of does humanize Homelander a bit, and it goes to just the testament to how good Anthony Starr is in this show. Of because I really think he should maybe get some Emmy consideration. Just what
easily he should win, honestly.
Yes, he should.
Because just what he's able to do with the character.
Yeah, he's been acting his ass off for 2 straight seasons. Every episode he delivers in every scene, and he commands our attention in every scene.
I mean, it's very impressive. How he's able to just make you feel, all these different type of emotions watching his character, and the presence he has on screen is very impressive. And I want to talk about a scene that came up, with it, of them basically trying to teach Ryan more his powers, trying to use his laser vision, and like, and Stormfront trying to help him get there using his powers, trying to like help him get angry so he could use it, and saying like, oh, we're under attack and this white genocide. Homelander kind of made a face like, what the fuck are you talking about? Which kind of I didn't understand. I'm like, bro, I don't understand what you thought this was. I don't understand Can you help me
It's-
understand that a little bit? Like why he was so shocked by, kind of seemed like he was shocked by what she said.
I don't think he was shocked. He was just more so annoyed. Because I feel like, and I'm not trying to say I called it, but like, I never thought that Homelander was on board with the whole Nazi shit. I just thought he was getting his ego fed by somebody that he could have very nice sex with. That's kind of all this is. So, I mean, like, even if you go back to the initial speech that Stormfront made to him, he doesn't really turn around and think about it actually working until she says, "You are the lead, the one that will lead us." He doesn't really care about any of that shit, and I feel like that showed. That wasn't the only like moment where Stormfront said something and he was just like, "Yo, what the fuck is this bitch talking?" I also noticed that with when she was talking about how she can't wait to leave all like the movie business and all the charade of being a hero behind, he was just like, "This is what I do it for," So I never thought that he was on board. I just thought that he just wanted his ego fed by a woman that he could get tossed around with. He was just big simping.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Chase. I don't think he was really on board with like all the Nazi stuff. He just wanted his ego. He just wanted to feed his ego with a woman that, he could, have sex with without worrying about breaking. Which, honestly, he wouldn't even care about that either.
Okay, I guess I maybe see your point, but it's just like, do you not know anything about Nazis or kind of what they stand for or what they believe in? Or, I mean, that's kind of the whole deal here, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of like, why are you looking surprised? It's kind of like their whole thing.
I felt like their relationship, if it wasn't going to end with this episode, it was going to end by his hands sooner or later.
So I mean, maybe I get the sense like maybe you said he was just maybe annoyed, maybe because he's trying to help his son. But I don't know. I mean, he did ask. I mean, she was better with him getting Ryan to do things than Homelander was in some instances. You know what I mean? Like, she was better at encouraging him and everything. Because she's actually had a kid before.
I think there were moments that you could tell that she was, that her connection with Ryan wasn't going to work. Like, when she initially suggested them go to Planet Vought, which is somewhere that I think even Homelander would have known better than to bring Ryan to.
Because it's like a super tourist kind of, a lot of people are gonna be there, instead of like some more private place. But so the boys, in the midst of while this is all going on, the boys are gonna lead a rescue mission to go get Ryan back. And I don't, and Becca, she really wants to come, obviously, because she's the mother. And she wants to be there when they get him back, which complicates things for Butcher because he's the one that cut a deal with Edgar, saying that, okay, well, hey, if I can definitely get the kid, I can definitely retrieve him. And what I like also with the show is because you think like these normal people going up against these superpower people who are so clearly outmatched. You do see kind of how these people the boys really rely on their wits, right? And their skill and talent of being able to, evade them and kind of distract them and kind of work around them in a lot of instances. You see how well they kind of work together as a team because the whole move they use to kind of get Stormfront away from the cabin and Homeland away from the cabin is like one they just take photos of the documents they got from A-Train, release them all into the internet, send them all to the news stations, everything like that, and basically blast that out. And then her phone is just getting all blown up, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Found her old tweets.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
Stormfront is over. Party.
Yeah, Stormfront canceled.
Already, an intense international outcry has emerged. I can't believe I actually have to say this day and age, but Nazis are bad.
And she just flies away. They set up these, all these speakers and play this blaring noise. They know that's gonna be triggering to Homelander, so that's gonna send him away. So I really like how they kind of use these kind of things to, basically draw him away and draw the superheroes away in the way they fight them. You know what I mean? Which is very, very creative. I like that quite a bit. And so when they go and they get Ryan from the cabin, it is a nice scene to see, like, because Becca beforehand asks him to make a promise that you will, do his best here, and to swear on his brother's soul, Lenny's soul, his brother, his dearly departed brother. And she also does mention Huey as well, Huey being a good influence on him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, multiple people have said that throughout the show. Mother's Milk, Butcher's aunt, said that. You know what I mean? Like he's just that positive influence in his life.
His canary.
Yeah, and we'll see if that continues season 3, because there's a little bit of a cliffhanger about him maybe moving on from that. What did you all think about the whole kind of rescue mission and what went on with that of getting Ryan? What do you all think about that?
It was tense. I loved it a lot. The thing that I feel like the showrunners did so well with hyping up this episode was the image of a soaked in blood Homelander. So I was just tensed by that image because I know it was coming, and I was just like, oh my god, is somebody, are they actually gonna kill one of the boys? Throughout the whole thing I was just thinking that. But I love the ingenuity of the boys, and this is part of the reason why I always would say watch the show. You could save the comics for later, because in the comics they're not this clever. They're clever, but they're not this clever, And because of a certain liquid substance that they consume in the comics that they don't consume here, they are more fragile and they're more believably at risk. And I feel like that just heightens the tension of it to a certain degree that the comics didn't have.
There's genuine tension over here because how fragile the boys really are. There's never a feeling where you can breathe whenever they're going up against the Supes. Unlike in the comic where they've all taken Compound V, they all have powers of their own. So
you're just gonna say it?
Hey, the show isn't going with the comics, so
so fuck it.
Yeah, so the comics really aren't as interesting as they are in the show, because like you said, they have to use their wits, they have to use their brains instead of going tit for tat with the Supes.
Yeah, I think that makes it a lot better them doing, because I haven't read the comics. I think YouTube said that basically, the show is better than the comics, right? It's basically
it is.
Yeah.
It's better done than the comics. So it adds a lot more tension, I think, for the people, like them just being regular people, and I think it adds a lot more creativity maybe for the writers to come up with scenarios and how they kind of can avoid just being straight up just killed by the heroes in a way, which I think is pretty nice. But it leads basically to the climax of the episode, which was a very, very fun climax, I must say. And I think that it definitely is a season finale that was better than maybe the first season finale. Would you guys say that?
It's hard for me to say, because the image and the sound of Sleepwalk playing as Butcher looks at his wife that he thought was dead and her child is still a very strong image in my head. But I do think that this finale matches that intensity and matches the level of writing, dude. It's insane. There's so many things paid off in this episode that was established in this season too.
Absolutely, because girls
get it done.
Girls get it done.
Oh, girls get it done.
Girls get it done.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
Girls do get it done.
One of the best fucking payoffs to what was originally just like corporate satire, and paid off so beautifully.
And on the perfect villain to do it to.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Beat the shit out of a Nazi in your show, I am instantly gonna be in love with it.
Oh yeah. And I think my favorite thing about that is that at the beginning, it's actually Stormfront who says "Girls get it done" in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
so I think that's hilarious that is thrown at her head. What's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for?
How
it's flipped on her head.
Tables.
Yeah, how the turntables.
Because you see, like when they're trying to do a getaway, Stormfront confronts them, and they're basically they're gonna fight her, and Kamiko, you see it before, she's kind of nervous because you see previous episodes, she's kind of frozen up when she's met Stormfront, and kind of didn't really know what to do. But in this one, she's ready. You know what I mean? She's actually even laughing when she meets her. You know what I mean? And she's ready to fight, and then Starlight's ready to fight, and it's the two of them versus her. And at first, they're doing a kind of okay job, but then you see like they're like Stormfront's doing a good job fighting them back. Then it's like from the top rope, Queen Maeve comes. You know what I mean? Like some WWE shit. And I mean, she comes out. She comes up. And it's just a fucking just straight up just beat down, you know what I mean? Like it's fucking Office Space versus the printer, the copy machine. It's fucking,
they kick the shit out of her.
It's fucking
yeah.
It's fucking Death Proof where they beat the shit out of Kurt Russell, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's just beautiful, you know what I mean? They're just literally just stomping on this chick, you know what I mean? And then saying just
like it was a gain initiation, like
you know what I mean? Pretty much, just fuck that Nazi bitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they just say that while they're kicking it, and it just felt so cathartic, you know what I mean? It felt good, it's just like, wow, this is pretty awesome, Nick, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, continue.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
girls get it done.
I mean, yeah, and then it was a perfect line, perfectly said at the right moment by Frenchie. He was like, "Girls really do get it done." I mean, it's true, like.
Yeah. And that's actually a scene in the comics too. That's how Stormfront dies in the comics, where instead of it by the girls, it's by the boys, and they're just stomping him out. So I thought that was just such a good reference that was done so much better.
And they're taking turns, you know what I mean? They're going back and forth, like she getting hit like a pinball machine. Like Kamiko hits her, Stormlight hits her, Queen Maeve hits her, like going just back and forth. It's like, damn.
I think she only got one hit off in that whole conference, like that whole part.
I mean, she was taking them L's, boy.
Yeah, she was just catching them hands, left and rights, equal left and rights.
Oh yeah.
And then she just finally has to just fly off,
like a pussy.
Bitch. And because they're, she just finally flies off, and she,
like all Nazis do.
Yeah. And she catches up with Butcher and Ryan and Becca, who was running, because when Stormfront arrived, she actually, took the car that Mother's Milk, Becca, and Ryan was, because they, like, Butcher was like, hey, I made a deal with Edgar, and for the deal, like, I can get Ryan back, but the deal was I can just, you guys take him and I get to be with you forever, but since I promised you, I'm not doing that anymore. Because you see, like, because he's supposed to use it to track the cell phone. He's like, okay, I'm gonna keep the cell phone on me, and you can track it, and when I get to the location, and I get Ryan, you'll know where I'll be, and you can come get him. which I mean is poor for the vault, security people, because they show up and they go like, okay, hey, hey Butcher, where you at? And then Homelander shows up, and it's like, oh shit, and it's like, oh damn. Well, hey man, sorry for you. You know what I mean? Like, this is the worst possible shift ever. Sucks for you. But you see that when he told Becca that, he was like, okay, I trust Mother's Milk. I trust you. You take her. You take the kid, and you just get out of here. And you get out of here. But Stormfront arrives, takes the car, flips it over, and basically Butcher, Ryan, and Becca, they go running. And when Stormfront, when she was running away from that ass whooping, she catches up with them. And you can see she's just totally bloody and beaten, and she's just she's trying to ask Ryan to come over here.
Yeah.
And he's like, hell no, I'm not coming with you. like look how you fucking look, like just completely scary as hell. And you see Becca trying to protect Ryan. So is the thing with Stormfront, she's not invulnerable, right? Like, her skin is not like invulnerable or anything.
Well, she can regenerate. But things like her eye can get hit because eyes are fragile. But also if she could get punched, like you obviously saw her, if it's a super punch, she can get hit by that. But yeah, that's about it. Like, as you saw, like, Butcher couldn't do anything to her.
Right.
Yeah.
But she could get get stabbed in the eye and stuff like that. Like, that can, like, her skin.
Yeah, because the eyes are like fragile.
But I mean, Superman.
Soups.
I mean, Superman. If he got shot in the eye, there'd be nothing that happened to him, though. I don't think.
Well, this isn't Superman. We have Homelander.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, Homelander. If he's somebody shot something in his eye, would that hurt him?
That's a good question.
Because
we'll probably see sooner or later.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so you see it. She stabbed in the eye. And she basically at that point, she is choking Becca out. And as you mentioned, like, Butcher trying to do something about it, he can't do anything about it. He's hitting her with a crowbar, he's shooting her, the bullets are just bouncing off. He's hitting her with a crowbar, that's like doing nothing. She's not even budging with him hitting her with a crowbar. And then Ryan, he just pretty much unleashes his Cyclops Omega Beam, Marvel versus Capcom 2 type shit, and turns her basically into Anakin Skywalker at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Stormfront, where she's just legless, she's handless, bald, scorched earth,
crispy.
Yeah, extra crispy. Which I don't know how that beam missed, like, Becca, but hit her. I don't know how the beam did that, but okay.
The beam still like ripped through Becca.
Did it? Because I thought it just like sliced her just the one little bit, right?
Yeah, it sliced her. Kind of like how that one the one kid that Homelander accidentally killed in collateral damage. It was just like a slice rather than like a burn, because he wasn't like the main target. He just happened to get cut by the side of it. That's what I'm assuming.
Like how little control Ryan has, because that's the first time he's ever used that power.
True.
So of course he's not going to have control.
It makes sense why, Becca got hit, but I'm just saying, like, if Stormfront looked like that, why did Becca look like that? You know what I mean? Like, because you know what I mean? Because I was expecting when Stormfront looked like that, I was like, oh shit, well, Becca must be fucked up too. But it's like, nah, she just got kind of has like, she bleeds out, but it's like, oh, she just kind of has like just a cut on her neck. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
facts. Yo, Ryan sent her back to the 1930s. She started speaking German.
She started thinking of the motherland again and shit like that. You know what I mean?
I actually did find out what she was saying.
And
I'm glad that she said it in German, because I'm not trying to feel sorry for her. It was basically about she was recounting a memory of hanging out with her husband, and Chloe hanging out by that like an apple tree or something like that. And it sounded very sweet, and I was just like, I don't need this from her.
Okay.
I love you, Aya Cash, but I don't need this from you. Not while you're Stormfront.
And after that happened, Homelander comes down, and it's a scene I think that was in the season 2 trailer. It was like a big scene where like he's all bloody flying down, just sees her, and she's just completely just all fucked up. I mean, it's just completely horrified. And you see like it's just Butcher and Ryan. And actually, a good thing to mention before that scene is like she's bleeding out. And it's a very good scene with Karl Urban, who Karl Urban's also very good in the show too. I think him and Homelander really get a good range of emotions throughout this show, and especially with the boys. I think the boys. It was really more their season. I think season 1 was the soup season. This season, I think, is really the boys' season that they really shine. And you see, he's giving an emotional goodbye to Becca. Especially, like it's even more emotional because he had thought all this time for such a long time that she was dead, only to find her and then to be with her and then break up with her, again, and then only for her to come back and then for him to lose her again. Is just really heartbreaking. And she says make sure you take care of Ryan and make sure it's not his fault. And so did you think he was gonna kill Ryan before Homelander show up? I mean, that was basically the insinuation there.
I don't know, and that's what I think is like the greatness of the show, because he was looking like he was ready to murder this kid.
It wouldn't be out of character for Homelander to do something like that.
Are you talking about Butcher?
Oh, either or.
True. Like Homelander did look like he was about to murder Ryan for a second there too.
And before Butcher really even gets a chance to do anything, that's when Homelander shows up, and that's when the standoff ensues between them. And before anything happens, Queen Maeve shows up and says like, well, hey, you gotta let them go. You gotta stop chasing Starlight. You gotta, let me and Elena do our thing, because the video of them on the airplane letting those people die, that comes back into play here. It's just I'll just release it. And she says, he says like, well, I don't care. I'll just kill everybody. It's just like, well, okay. I mean, if you do that, you'll lose the one thing that you care about the most, which is everybody loving you and people see you for the monster that you are. And there's a good cue that happens where you hear like these cheers, like he's starting to hear these cheers of people cheering his name, Homelander, as she's like saying that, as she's talking about, which I thought was a good cue, which was really, really nice touch to things of how much he really does care about that, like that admiration, that love, you know what I mean? Like, because he can't have love in his own life. I mean, you saw what happened with Stormfront. I mean, that shit's gone. You know what I mean? Like that shit's literally burnt up. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's gone. That shit's in flames. So yeah, I mean, the love of people is all he's got. And so when you see the kind of the final moments of the episode, you see like they, Vought does what Vought does best. Where they just basically just leaned into it and turned the story on his head and go like, oh, we were just we were shocked to learn of this story that she was this Nazi and we condemn her actions, and it turns out that she was the person doing all these bad things, and and Starlight is innocent, and Queen Maeve, she's a great asset. They're both great heroes that helped stop the evil Stormfront. I mean, we didn't know anything about it, of course, so that's what they do best. It was also great to see, like, in that whole kind of press conference scene, like the camera zooming in on Homelander's eyes, like just this intensity, you know what I mean, that he has. I mean, I thought almost like he was gonna admit it, like kind of laser everybody for a second. I mean, as much as they were kind of just zooming in on the eyes there for a second. And you see kind of, it almost feels like a little bit like a series finale, not even like a season finale. and some aspects of the way they kind of give each character their own kind of like goodbye in a way, like Mother's Milk. Now that like the charges have been dropped against them and against the whole boys, like Mother's Milk goes back to his family. You see Kamiko and Frenchie, they go off, you know what I mean? They're just like, hey, whatever the adventure takes us, so they going to do their own thing. You see that Butcher, he just kind of walks away from things, gives Ryan some very, important advice. Just says,
The most important advice of all.
The best advice you could ever give a young man.
Now, remember what I told you.
Don't be a cunt.
you know what I mean? Gives him, delivers him off to the CIA, gives him some great advice, and also, just kind of why they're sitting there together. It's a beautiful looking scene, by the way they shot it. It's a really nice, beautiful looking scene, and the way he's just talking about Becca, and he gives him a very gift that she gave him at one time, Butcher, that he gives to Ryan, and it's a really nice scene, very beautiful scene, well done. And he kind of goes his own way after that, after he hands Ryan off to the CIA. You see Huey now. He's talking to Starlight, and he's kind of like, I just kind of, I also kind of want to move on and kind of, just find my own way. And she thinks like, oh, well, okay, well, I guess this means that we're going to be friends now. He's like, oh, no, fuck no. Oh, hell no, I'm not breaking up with you. No, hell no. I mean, you probably the hottest chick I've ever been with.
If anything man would do, he's trying to lock that shit down.
Yeah. When I meant not being clingy, I didn't mean not being clingy with you. I mean, I like you. Yeah, I'm sticking with you. I mean, definitely
I'm friend zoning the world, not you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, fuck no, hell no. I'm not getting rid of that. Like, hell no. Which then, like, when he says that, it does cut to a scene of Butcher. So, do you all think that, like, he's just like not gonna try to find Butcher later on, or not try to best he can?
Well, with the upcoming villain that he's going to confront sooner or later, I think he's gonna have to go to Butcher, especially since that I think Newman is kind of taking the role of being like their supervisor to some degree, because I think Mallory was talking about how Newman has started like a supervising task force or whatever, and that the boys were being offered that position. I wouldn't be surprised if they came around to it though. There's gonna be something coming on, something that happens.
I think the way season 3 opens is something so horrible happens that they have no choice but to go back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a good time, I guess, to talk about the big reveal. When Huey's talking about moving on, he gets a job working for the Congressman, Victoria Newman, the AOC stand-in.
Mia Khalifa.
I was so disappointed. I'm like, no, they ain't doing AOC like this.
If any of you guys played the newest Call of Duty, she was the character Farah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, that was her.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, nice. But I was kind of upset. I was like, man, they doing my girl AOC like this, making her to be like some secret villain or some shit. And it turns out, so one of the big mysteries of the season was like, who the hell is this person exploding? Like all these heads, like who's doing this? So it turns out it was her. It turns out it was the Congresswoman, Victoria Newman. You see a scene where the leader of the Church of Collective, he's trying to open a fresca, and then unbeknownst to him, that'd be his last fresca that he ever drank, because his head just fucking.
Well, he didn't even drink.
I thought he took a sip. He didn't take a sip.
Nah, he just opened it and that shit popped.
Oh yeah, he just opened it and shit popped. Oh.
Yeah.
Fresca fucking sucks anyway. So yeah, I mean, God spared him drinking any.
He deserved it.
Yeah. So you know that it was her. And she's working for Stan Edgar. I would guess is the thing. She's basically with Vought, right?
So reason why I'm making that assumption, because for all we know, she may not be working directly under Edgar. But the reason why I'm making that assumption is because her comic book counterpart is the Vice President Newman, who very directly works for Vought. So, and it seems to be that it makes sense for Vought to have somebody on the inside fighting, quote unquote, against them to keep that accelerated war between both sides so that they can make money.
They're just working all angles, everything.
Yeah. Because if they can control the enemy, then they can control whether or not, the real enemies succeed. Well, I guess maybe the reason why she had to pop his head was because he exposed that information, and that was retaliation.
Well, he didn't. They think that he exposed that information.
Yeah. Well, he inadvertently did, and I think that's why they sent the AOC standing after him.
Right. Yeah, because they think he inadvertently did or had some. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But I guess the leader of the Church Collective didn't tell them that it was A-Train that did it, because they knew A-Train did it. So they knew that he did it. And that was a good scene too, where they're talking and then how the Deep, he was like, okay, it's like he was so quick to sell him out. He's like, fuck me and fuck this guy. I didn't know anything about this. Like, he was so quick to sell him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's such a two-faced little bitch.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah. He's like, actually, I think that shows initiative. And I think that is very good. And A-Train, I think, you're good to go back in the 7. He's like, fuck yeah. He's like, this is great. Like, fuck this bullshit. And he just fucking walks out. He's like, man, fuck this shit. And then it's like, I guess nothing happens for the Deep. What do you all think is gonna maybe follow up with the Deep next season? Like, what do you think are some good ways they're gonna take that character from? What do you know knowledge of? Is the same pathway that he has in the show is similar to the pathway he has in the comics?
So in the comics, it's kind of just like pushed aside as a joke, but like he doesn't really have an arc. He doesn't really do much. I think he's the only soup that lives in the comics, to be honest with you. Because that's how unimportant his character is in the comics. So, I don't know. We'll see.
What do you think they'll follow up and do with him next season? Like, do you think he'll become the leader of the Church of Collective now that the
hell no. He's like, I think he's the one character I really cannot predict where they'll go with him, because I feel like he's on this very long redemption path that's just going to be played for comic relief. And the ties that he makes throughout it are probably going to be tied to very loosely to the overarching plot, kind of like the way they are in this season.
So what are the expectations you all have for season 3? Chayse, what are some theories you got for like what's gonna come up?
So we already know that they're bringing in Soldier Boy, who in the comics is kind of like a Captain America parody. So
is that the person is going to be played by Jensen Ackles?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Little
Nice.
supernatural reunion with him and Ricky.
It's a shame that they just did Lamplighter like that. I wish that they could have had a scene together. But I think what is going to happen is that they're going to bring in Soldier Boy to replace Stormfront, because it seems like they're kind of focusing on the 7 as the main superhero team rather than branching off like the comics does with Payback, which is the bootleg Avengers and all the other teams. So I think that's the play, and the play is you get Soldier Boy, who is the most patriotic hero of all time, to replace the Nazi. It just makes sense. It's good marketing.
Okay. So he's got pretty much all the same power set as Captain America, pretty much.
Yeah, just a strong soldier.
Okay. What? So what do you know? Like what's his major issue? Like what's fucked up about him?
To my memory, he was kind of just like a Boy Scout. I'm not gonna lie, he's very much on the nose with Captain America.
Okay.
There was a scene with him and Homelander where Homelander has this weird initiation where Soldier Boy sucks his dick, and a few other things. I don't know if they'll do that, but I mean, I guess Homelander is getting a little needy, so that might happen still. But his whole thing is kind of just being like a Boy Scout. Like he tells people to stop cussing and stuff like that. Like he's very on the nose. So it'll be interesting to see how his brand, if they do keep that brand of like pure innocent superheroism, and him and Homelander have to butt heads between you know how Homelander is and how this actually pure hero is, or if they'll just make him darker. Who knows?
Nick, what do you think? What's your expectations for season 3?
I think with bringing in Soldier Boy, you're introducing a character who I think they're gonna play him as, this guy is all the things that Homelander says he is. He's a guy who is like really true, honest, patriotic, and meanwhile Homelander's just faking it for the camera. And I think that's playing more into his insecurities. Just kind of like what they were doing with Stormfront this season.
Okay. All right. So the big storylines coming from this is follow up from see with Victoria Newman, see with like, you know, basically what she does. Like I guess is she gonna be pretty much the big bad of season 3? You think?
So we know that they're trying to do a coup from the inside, as the late Rayner once said. So I think what she might be there to do is to continue to ascend in power. I can't foresee them pushing her in the VP/president slot so soon, because is she already a congresswoman by the time that? No, she is.
She is in Congress.
Okay, so I feel like there won't be much of a time skip for her to become like a presidential nominee or something like that. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun, but to see Huey and her interact and him slowly discover who she really is.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see him working with her, to see how they're gonna bring all the boys back together again. That'd be very interesting. Soldier Boy, Jason Eccles. Man, every time I say that, I feel like playing Crank That Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
I hope that they somehow work that into a joke next season.
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna make the video myself. It's gonna be every Soldier Boy scene to Crank That Soldier Boy. It's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah. So I think it's some good things to follow up for season 3 that I'm interested to see capitalized on. So any final thoughts on the season? How do you think it compares to season 1 now that it's all done?
I have to go back and rewatch everything, but I do think I like this season a little bit more. I just appreciate the pacing of it. It's a little bit slower, so you get to get more time with all the characters. And for me, at least, that's what worked for me. You still had your big shocking moments every episode, but there was more character to it than the first season.
Okay. Nick, what about you?
I definitely agree with you, Chayse. I feel like this season is on par with, if not even better than, the first season. I feel like this season it's getting more into the character development on the actual boys themselves, which I feel like was one of the weaknesses of the first season. Like everyone was like so high on the Soups, and the actual boys, the characters Butcher, Huey, Frenchie, and Mother's Milk, they kind of took a back seat to everything. And here they get a lot more development. I really like the pacing of the show. I really like that I genuinely cannot tell where the show is going, because none of the characters I had in my death pool for this episode, they all made it out alive.
And the character that we swore was gonna make it and be a long-lasting impact probably died with Stormfront.
Yeah, because so they say that she's just held captive, right? That she's not dead, right? She's just in prison, right?
So
I'd be very surprised if they killed her off this early, because there's still so much you could do. Because they've hinted at, hey, we've rebranded Stormfront before, we can do it again.
now what they might do is something that they do in the comics where, certain Soups, they're so pumped with Compound V that they just cannot die. Their brain might be dead, but they're like actual zombies. So they might do something like that. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but we'll see.
Okay.
I don't think she's like consciously alive though.
Right. Because could she regenerate from all those injuries?
Theoretically, but that was a lot. Like she was in a whole like life flashing moment speaking in German. I feel like consciously she's dead. Okay. And I really don't want like a Darth Stormfront or like a Darth Rich.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I like Aya Cash, but for that character I don't want that from her.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's always tough to compare seasons sometimes, especially when you just finish one. It's so fresh, so you're gonna go with probably the most thing that's most fresh on your mind. So right now, I mean, I would say, I think it's just two different things. Like I said, season 1 I think was the Soup season. This is just the boys season, I think, more of and more of their exploits and kind of more exploring them as characters. Because season 1 really was just introducing you to this world, right? And really taking you into this and what these characters are like and really showing you, Vought and everything like that. So it's a little bit of a different feeling this season than it is in season 1, so it's a little difficult to compare. There's a lot of more different themes going on in this season than there are in season 1. So it's tough right now for me to say, but I think season 1 was still very, very good, and I liked it a lot. And I very like the last closing shot too, which is a closing shot that they said they wanted to do in season 1, but I think they said it was too dark for them to do in season 1. And it's the
you mean the scene of Homelander pleasuring himself on top of the Empire State Building?
Yeah. Which,
not gonna lie, I would do if I had powers like that.
Yeah, that's like one of the first things you do.
So I mean, because I think they said, I was reading something, they said they wanted to do that in season 1, but they couldn't. They said they couldn't do it, but then I guess they did it here. I guess they got the green light to do it here. So
I kind of like the I kind of like the context of this scene here rather than it being in last season. Because it's
I'm trying to think of when they would put that during season 1, and I can't think of anything that adding that scene to it wouldn't have felt out of place.
Yeah.
Because this one, I think it shows him just losing his mind more.
Yeah.
Just going fucking crazy.
Yeah, of course. The girl he really likes is out of the 7. His son's gone. His reputation is being held hostage by Queen Maeve.
Yeah. Like everything, like this was his season to lose, and he lost everything.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying to see that character lose.
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting to see what the dynamic will be now and next season between the Soups now that they have this information on Homelander, now they're not going to be as scared of him as they were in the first season.
Yes,
throughout
the
the
other
majority of
suits in the Seven finally hold something over Homelander.
Yeah, so it'd be very interesting to see what they do with that and how that dynamic plays out. Because the one thing he also had was that he was in charge of the Seven. He was the main guy, and now they're gonna probably treat him like a bitch. Now, like all that time, all that abuse that they've treated, that he's given them, they're gonna give back to him. So that's a very interesting dynamic. I would really like to see how they follow up with that as well. Now that they see, do you all think also next season, like, they're gonna try to reduce Homelander's role in the Seven, like Vought making him the face now? They're gonna try to maybe make somebody else the new face, like Soldier Boy, and like that's even gonna make him even more angry. Because now that Homelander got associated with the Nazi, and he was the main one dating her, and they were palling around. They're gonna go like, well, your image is shit, so we're gonna need a new face for the Seven. So maybe bringing this new guy. So do you all think that would be probably a big thing?
Yeah, that actually could work. And I feel like...
Oh, sorry. Continue, Chase.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like because if they do keep Soldier Boy comic book accurate, he is everything that Homelander pretends to be. So that might be interesting to see that, like, reflection of his fake self be an actual genuine human being. I'd
be interested to see that. Any rating for this season?
But before we give our ratings, what were you about to say, Nick?
Definitely see that dynamic of someone who's genuinely heroic versus someone who fakes it. Will be really interesting next season, and I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Ryan now that he's with Mallory. I wonder how that's gonna play into next season.
Saving him for the White House.
Maybe delve into that. Hey, the government is trying to create a force for good, but even their methods are a little fucked up.
Yeah.
So any ratings for it?
10.
10 out of 10.
Perfect motherfucking 10.
I couldn't have written it better myself. 10.
And 10 for you too, Dick.
Oh, fuck yes. This is my absolute favorite show. Well, of the last 10 years at least.
Yeah. It definitely, it very easily usurped Game of Thrones for me this season.
Especially considering the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But it's just the little things that the writers do to tie everything together. Like, even like the Billy Joel references. The reason why, Huey is so in love with Billy Joel, it's because of his mom. Like, that's all those little details.
It's why the soundtrack here works, and I feel like they were taking like notes from the writing of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, the soundtrack, if you just took it out of context, it's just a cool soundtrack, but it's actually vital to who the character is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
There's just so many little details that they put in that just that really makes the show great.
Yeah. I give it a 9 out of 10, 9, 8 out of 10.
You a hater. Why are you giving it a 9?
Hater.
Traitor.
I can't be with y'all. I can't have the same ratings, y'all. That can't happen.
What was wrong?
Pussy.
I will say that I
nitpick for my flaw. What's wrong?
I had to really dig deep and nitpick for any flaws I had with this show.
I like to say, I think it's, like I said, it's 9 is not a bad rating. 9 is a very good rating.
But it's not 10. That's the problem here.
In comparison to us, we gave it an A+, you gave it an A-.
Yeah. In some households, that might not stand well for the kid. I hope you know that.
I think you could have did more with Giancarlo Esposito as Edgar.
That's fair.
I thought you could have did a lot more with him. I thought the Victoria Newman reveal. I don't know. I think maybe that I think it was came a little bit out of nowhere. I think you could have maybe teased a little bit things, or maybe added.
Did you rewatch the hearing scene where she's literally looking at everybody whose heads pop?
Also, that's a good point. So I have to go.
Now that you mention it, I did notice that. It was like right before everyone's heads popped, she was looking right at them.
Yeah, and I think the greatest hint that they did, but it was so perfect because I wouldn't have guessed it still, was that she kept going back to the chair and just looking around like, yo, what's going on? But she was pretending to be hysterical, but she's actually just popping heads.
Yeah. But also, it seems like when she uses her power, like her eyes turn white. Like it turns white for a minute. So it seems like her power takes a little minute to activate.
Well, when you look back at that scene in Congress, it's like it was always like shooting her from a distance, so you really wouldn't be able to see something like that.
Yeah, and even the close-ups that they do, it's like quick glance and then pop, quick glance, pop.
Yeah,
quick glances around and then pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like obvious enough for it to be like, oh yeah, that's clearly her. But it was just enough for us to be like, oh wow, that when in hindsight, that was 2020.
Yeah. So So not to say I have an issue with them being revealed that she was the person doing it all along. But I thought I was like, it could have been maybe a little bit better with that. And so, that's not really that's a reason why I'm kind of not gonna give fully 10 with it. But it's 9's good, still strong rating. 9's good rating.
We'll let it go.
It's a solid rating. We're just giving you shit.
Yeah. I know. No big issue. Yeah.
We're not gonna hold this against you.
All right. So moving on from discussing the boys, we're going to discuss Doctor Strange news here real quick. So it's been announced. This is via the Hollywood Reporter. Benedict Cumberbatch is joining Spider-Man 3 as Doctor Strange. It says the move will put Benedict Cumberbatch in the mentor role that was previously occupied by Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark and Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury. So with this latest bit of news, do you all think that Spider-Man 3 could maybe have a situation of too much going on because you're bringing in Jamie Foxx Electro? Do you all think it's a situation where, with Doctor Strange now being involved, it basically confirms like more of a multiverse situation happening? This adds on more to the confirmation that's basically what they're going to do with the whole Spider-Man 3 film.
I don't want it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a break with you. I don't want it. I want Kraven. I wanted the Kraven movie that they pretty much set up in Far From Home.
They set up Kraven.
I think this is. I think this is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, continue, Chayse.
I was just gonna say, to answer your question, Josh, the setup for Kraven was very strong because you revealed who Peter Parker was. Now everybody's looking for him. He's framed for a crime of killing somebody. Of killing I can't remember his name right now. Mysterio. This is the perfect opportunity for somebody, say, put a hit on him and send Kraven at him. That's the movie that I wanted.
You could have done so much with what Far From Home set up. You could introduce Kraven the Hunter. You could introduce maybe the Punisher as someone who's going after Spider-Man. You could do like a true Spidey on the run story and make it so he doesn't have anyone to fall back on. It's literally all on him.
I don't want Spidey to have
and you can finally have all the criticism of Tom Holland that he's Iron Man Jr. He's just he ain't Spider-Man, which I think is bullshit. But you can finally shut those critics up.
Now they're gonna call him Nurse Strange. Think about that.
That's actually pretty good.
Exactly. I wish they'd finish Tom Holland's arc in the MCU proper before getting crazy and adding in a multiverse other Spider-Man villains from other movies.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to whose decision this was to add Benedict Cumberbatch. Was it Sony or was it Kevin Feige?
That's a good question.
That's a good point.
Because if it's Kevin Feige's call, then okay, I'm with it. He hasn't let us down so far. If it's Sony's, yeah, this shit's dead on arrival.
Because with the whole recasting Electro, I mean, granted, Jamie Foxx did say that he wasn't going to be blue in this movie, so he might not be the same Electro, hopefully. But the rumors around Mary Jane coming back, Andrew and Toby considering roles in it, it's just like, I don't want it.
Oh, you mean Sam Raimi's Mary Jane, the worst love interest in comic movie history?
Yeah, I don't want it.
No, I don't fucking want it.
I don't want it. Especially not for the third movie.
So you want to see, like, you don't want a live action Spider-Verse period, or you don't want it just in the third movie?
So if we were going to get a Spider-Verse, yeah, because I don't think Spider-Man is done becoming Spider-Man. And the reason why I say that is because Far From Home, yes, it does like establish that now he's moved past Iron Man's wing and he's now kind of this full-fledged superhero. The potential of the third movie is supposed to be like to solidify him as the guy.
Yes, very much this next phase of Marvel. You don't have any of the original Avengers to fall back on. It's all on everyone new that's coming around. It's all on Doctor Strange. It's all on Black Panther. It's all on Spider-Man. It's all on Captain Marvel. It's all them now. And the third movie should be, hey, setting up, okay, Spider-Man, he still has some growing pains, but he is the Spider-Man.
He doesn't need any more mentors.
Do you all think like they can set him up as this next big thing? Because like he's got his own cliffhanger of, like you said, of people finding out his secret identity, and he was kind of the only person who had a secret identity, pretty much. I mean, he's like one of the few people that had one. So do you think like the way of bringing in Doctor Strange, bringing in this whole stuff, is like a way for them to kind of do a reset on that cliffhanger? Like they could do something
I fucking hope not. I hope not.
That was too...
Because there needs to be consequences to what happens in these movies. Otherwise, we wouldn't give a shit. It's why that even in something like Avengers Endgame, where most of the heroes got back, there are still world-changing consequences that happen.
There were still world-changing consequences. So it makes me think, what are they gonna do? Maybe if they're gonna do something like that. Like I'm feeling they're maybe gonna do like a reset, and kind of like, and then doing this reset, it's kind of gonna be like their own Flashpoint, maybe.
I don't want it.
Where they're gonna so Doctor Strange being in it.
Just stop talking, please. I'm done with the theory. It's over.
Because so you're telling me let's
come on, COVID, do us a favor and kill this project. Do it.
So you're saying let's say
first you give the boys a 9 and then you give me this shit idea. No, I don't want it. I don't.
So you're saying you wouldn't like it for let's say they can cherry pick from the best things of their project. So let's say they can bring back Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Vince D'Onofrio as Kingpin, and they can put them in.
That's different.
And they can kind of
that's different. That is great great material that they'd be picking from.
Yeah.
That is stuff that hasn't been set up in this universe yet, and stuff that we want to see interact. Because I remember, like, years ago when Homecoming was coming out, there was rumors that Vincent D'Onofrio was reprising his role as Kingpin, and unfortunately that never happened because, well, fucking the Netflix Marvel rights are weird, and they're finally able to do stuff with them now. And
he's been teasing.
And even with the third movie, there is room to introduce Daredevil in this because, yeah, Peter Parker is gonna need a lawyer, and who better than Matt Murdock?
Yep.
Yeah. So you wouldn't like to see something like that of them kind of bringing in kind of this universe type stuff, and maybe that they'll be able to kind of go like, okay, well, here's the reason why mutants exist. Here's more of the reasons why they can bring in like these other Marvel characters, and then maybe some of the other Marvel Netflix characters
all of that stuff would be within the MCU. It's not cherry picking from some of the older Spider-Man movies.
Well,
half of which don't even really work.
So Josh, you know what that movie's supposed to be?
What?
That you're describing right now? That's supposed to be Multiverse of Madness. Keep the Multiverse of Madness out of my Spider-Man and let him handle Kraven. Or just let him handle Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, because we don't even have a word of what the premise is really going to be of this Spider-Man 3 film, or what the villain is going to be, or anything like that. And when I say like cherry picking, I just mean like in terms of, because we see like Mahershala Ali is Blade, and obviously Mahershala Ali was in Marvel Netflix's Luke Cage, and he was Cottonmouth in that. So you know, like you see like they obviously don't. There's no continuity, even though the shows reference the movies, but the movies never reference the shows. So there's no continuity between the shows and the movies going on, and there's no connected kind of feeling there. So, and especially since they grabbed an actor from that. So, if you want to do more, like bringing these kind of characters in, and people would really want them, because you see they brought in J. Jonah Jameson, they brought in J.K. Simmons again, the same actor. They're going to bring in Jamie Foxx, Electro, the same, actor again. That maybe they can do something similar again with the Spider-Man 3 movie. And him being this Doctor Strange being a mentor figure to Spider-Man. I don't know how I feel all about that. I don't know how that's going to really work. I don't know how.
I like Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, but I don't see him being a mentor. I see him as like the older brother who's annoyed with this little kid who's coming around fucking with him.
Yeah. I mean,
fuck off. I have better shit to do.
Because Doctor Strange seems, it's basically Benedict Cumberbatch doing his Sherlock shit. He's very standoffish, very kind of, narcissistic. Like he's Tony Stark without really much of the charm, really all that much. So it'd be interesting. And I will say, like, a lot of these times in MCU films, I think a lot of characters sometimes work better in other movies than they do sometimes in their own movies. Like there's like when Doctor Strange just popped up when he was in Thor Ragnarok. Like just that little bit kind of he was in there. I thought, wow, he was really cool and really interesting. And he's only in there for a little bit. And I think I wasn't big on the Doctor Strange movie myself. I thought the movie was fine. I thought it was okay. But when he's just kind of like in things like Infinity War, and this goes with sometimes a lot of other characters like Infinity War or Endgame or Thor Ragnarok, where he just kind of pops up and appears. He's like, this is kind of a really cool, interesting character. You know what I mean? That is really well done. Black Panther, when he first appeared in Civil War, I like the Black Panther movie quite a bit, but I don't think the excitement I felt for that character matched the excitement I felt when he was in Civil War. Like when he showed up and he was like chasing Bucky and everything like that, like that was like really exciting. I thought that character was kind of the most exciting he had been, even in his own movie, rather than even in his own movie. So to see like kind of Doctor Strange, appear in this, like to say he's going to appear in Spider-Man 3, I'm interested, because sometimes I think sometimes certain characters work better as supporting, maybe they do leading their own films, like Ant-Man. Like I think Ant-Man works maybe better as a supporting guy in these movies than he does leading his own film.
You're a hater.
I mean, the Ant-Man films are pretty weak, man. I mean,
You're pretty weak.
Hey, I like Ant-Man. I
some,
agree with you that they're pretty weak, but I still like Ant-Man.
They're decent. Yeah. They're decent films. They're all right, but they're some of the weakest the MCU is done.
They're not for the Dark World.
No, yeah, I was about to say the first 2 Thors exist. So does Ultron. Chill out.
No, it's better than those. It's better than those.
Iron Man 3, it's better than.
No, Iron Man 3 is better.
I actually love Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is better than both. I think Iron Man 3 is better than both the Ant-Man movies. I think.
You're bugging.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
So in some situations, I think certain characters were kind of better supporting, like Hulk, maybe in some instances. But yeah. So I mean, this news. I'll wait for more plot details. I'll wait for actually who's going to be the main villain of this. Just to see, because we haven't got any of that news yet of who's any of that is going to be. Because I'm looking at this article from the Hollywood Reporter. It says Spider-Man 3 is due to begin shooting in Atlanta later in October, while Multiverse of Madness is also expected to begin shooting this month, although it's going to be in London. It is unclear when and where Cumberbatch will shoot his scenes. Marvel and Sony had no comment. So yeah. I'm interested to see, at least to see what they do with this film. And to see the next phase of Marvel and all this multiverse of madness, all this stuff they do. I'm interested. All right, so moving on from discussing Doctor Strange to discuss more movie news, more superhero movie news. Green Lantern is getting a TV series. It's going to be on HBO Max. It is going to be made by Seth Garney-Smith and Mark Guggenheim are going to be writing it. This is via Variety. HBO Max has given out a series order to Green Lantern based on the DC Comics property. The show was first announced at the beginning in development last year. There are no plot details at this time. The show will depict the adventures of multitude of Lanterns, including Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, Alan Scott, and Alan Scott, who's Earth's first Green Lantern. Who, true to the comics, is going to be a gay man, and many more. The series will also include fan favorites such as Sinestro and Kilowog, and also introduce new heroes to the ranks of the Green Lantern Corps. HBO Max has ordered 10 one-hour episodes. So, what do you all think about them doing an HBO Max Green Lantern series?
I was hopeful until I found out what the showrunners did in their past. But I'm gonna maintain hope because HBO Max is pretty solid when it comes to shows, and at least it's not on CW.
But
I agree with you. The saving grace of this is that it is on HBO. And they like throwing money around when they have a project they believe in.
Yeah. It'll at least...
Seth Grahame-Smith, who is the writer and showrunner for this, he has done good stuff before. He was one of the writers for the Lego Batman movie. So at least he knows and understands comics. And I feel like Green Lantern, it's something that is still trying to work past the stain that was the Ryan Reynolds movie.
But please do tell us what else he's worked on.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. He was a writer for Tim Burton's Dark Shadows.
Ooh. Another classic.
He was also a producer and executive producer for It and It Chapter 2.
Okay. Those are producer credits. He was just throwing money, but okay.
Executive producer for the Lego Ninjago movie.
Okay, another one he was just tossing money at, but okay. All right, maybe he learned something from him.
And that's pretty much his IMDb.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
It's funny. I mean, you say it's not on the CW, but it has a lot of the creative team from CW. Like, this is gonna be like Mark Guggenheim produces a lot of like the superhero CW shows. Him and Greg Berlanti.
Greg Berlanti is also a producer on this, but he's also done good stuff. Like, he's a producer for Black Lightning. He's a producer for Doom Patrol.
Yeah. So they produce a lot of DC stuff. Greg Berlanti produces a lot of stuff for DC on the CW. A lot of that stuff, and like you say, like you mentioned, they're producing this on HBO Max. I'm interested to see what the budget is going to be with this, since it is a show in space. Because I haven't seen Lovecraft, but I watch a lot of like some of the trailers for it, the clips from it. And they do effects with these creatures and monsters. They do look really good. That somebody was showing me, it does look pretty good. And I would imagine the budget is pretty high on that show. Do you all think like they can do a budget of a show like this that would not make it look terrible? That wouldn't, make it look very cheap? Because if they're putting it on HBO Max, I would assume they're going to put some money behind it.
Yeah, I think it'll look nice regardless. Because Green Lantern, although yes, we've kind of turned him into a joke after the Ryan Reynolds movie. They didn't even get a second one. I think the Green Lantern Corps is a almost flagship member of the Justice League that has enough name recognition to draw in an audience by itself. So
and I like that they're going with to the general public, mostly unknown characters. Like, not a lot of people know about like Alan Scott or Kyle Rayner or Guy Gardner or the two newest ones, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see them adapted.
Do you all read the Green Lantern comics?
Nah.
Shit, I haven't for years. I read a couple of like the newer ones. I read like the first few volumes for Baz and Cruz's Green Lanterns, and those were actually really good. Jessica Cruz, she's a person with anxiety that's been chosen to be a Green Lantern, and a lot of it is like dealing with that. Which is actually a very like faithful and realistic portrayal of anxiety and PTSD.
Okay. What do you think about it focusing on a multitude of Green Lanterns, not just like one singular Green Lantern? I mean, do you think that will be too fractured to just keep like focusing on like instead of just mainly maybe one person or maybe a couple, you're focusing like they said multitude, so it's going to be all these Green Lanterns that you're going to kind of follow? Do you think, I mean, how do you think that's all going to play out?
It really depends on how they craft the story, but it could work in my opinion.
Okay. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, it could very well work, but it depends on how the show's written.
I think if you kind of split them up into pairs, like I know Jessica Cruz and Simon are kind of a pair at times.
Their comic is very much a buddy cop with the two of them.
I feel like that could work. Of course, their storylines have to intersect at some point, so we'll see. But yeah, I think they can make that work.
Okay. This comes, so they are going to do the James Gunn, they're going to do a Suicide Squad spinoff series as well. That's going to be on HBO Max. And that they're also going to do like a Gotham PD series that's going to be on HBO Max, I believe as well.
Yeah, but I feel like those two have a little more street cred because of who's running them. Peacemaker is being like written and produced by James Gunn. The Gotham PD one, it's being written by Matt Reeves and Terrence Winter, who did Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, that's nice.
So those automatically get a little more goodwill because of who's running them.
Yeah.
Do you all think it'd be a similar situation with the CW, where it's connected or totally separate?
I hope it's separate because DC has kind of like announced that they're really abandoning their plans to do a shared universe. They're just doing a multiverse, and that's what's going to be really kicked off on the Flash.
Right.
And I would prefer like Pattinson's Batman be his own thing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I like the Green Lantern character. I typically like Jon Stewart. I know him from Justice League, so I mainly followed his character, mainly over Hal Jordan. And I, like a lot of people, I did see the Green Lantern movie they did in 2011, which Mark Guggenheim actually co-wrote that film as well. Yes, he did co-write it as well. But and I thought that was really terrible. And I mean, it seems like enough time has passed where they could bring it back. That character, I think enough time has passed where they can now bring it back in the major scene again. It makes me think, like, first of all, I'm concerned how it's gonna look. Show in space, what the budget is gonna look like. Especially doing a lot of these special effects with the ring, the constructs. Like, how's all that gonna look? That seems like it's a hefty price to pay to do on a TV budget, 10 episodes. Because even something like you see, like The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, that's not as gonna be heavy special effects as something like Green Lantern. Like, that's also another level that you gotta do. Because a lot of stuff you can do Mandalorian still practical. You can do a lot of that stuff practical. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. It doesn't have a date, I believe, of when this is going to be released. I'm looking at this via Variety. I don't see a date here what they say it's going to be released. We'll stay tuned for that to check it out. All right, so moving on from discussing the news here, we're going to discuss our favorite Halloween movies. I should say, how do you all want to do it? Do you want to do, we run down the list of our favorite horror films, like top 10, run down the list, each of us?
All right, I gotta admit to the people, I gotta be truthful with y'all. I'm really not that big into horror, so my list is not that long. I don't know, man. It just never really interests me like that. I saw it as a kid, and I was just like, fuck clowns. And I saw Chucky, and I was just like, I'm throwing away every doll I see. So I just was never into the more spectacle slasher stuff. I'm more into the aesthetic of Halloween and the thrillers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. So I'll
do 10.
Okay.
All right. Let's just do 5. Can you do 5?
Yeah, I can do 5.
Damn, you wrote that shit on a piece of paper too, huh? I see you crinkle up that piece of paper.
Damn, I hear that.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go ahead, run down my list real quick, and then Chayse, and then Nick. Okay, real quick. So, so these are my favorite Halloween movies. Just in case anybody ever asks the question, we can always refer you back to this show to say hey, what are your favorite Halloween movies? Okay, we already did a show about it. We already did it. We already talked about it. So here we go. So I got number 1, Halloween. First movie ever saw that really scared the shit out of me. I think I saw it when I was maybe 11, 12. First time. Reason why it really scared me particularly is because the character Michael Myers was in the state of Illinois, and I lived in the state of Illinois, so that's why it really, I think, scared me the most. I wasn't really that scared of Jason, because I'm as long as I don't go to Camp Crystal Lake, I'm fucking good. As long as I don't go to Manhattan, I'm good. You know what I mean? As long as I don't go to fucking space, I'm pretty much okay. And then Freddy and the Dreams thing, that I know that was scary for a lot of people, Freddy Krueger, but I don't know. I mean, he became such a joke character by the time I really caught on to Freddy that he didn't really scare me as much. So that's why Halloween is my number 1. Number 2 is The Thing. It's maybe my favorite John Carpenter film. Love it, absolute masterpiece of a film, best bottle film ever made. amazing performance. Kurt Russell, Keith David, black man that actually lives to the end, so that's always great. That's always fantastic. Get Out, I think definitely a horror movie masterpiece. Definitely confirm my suspicions. Never trust white women. Absolutely. Absolutely never trust white men. Never go to meet somebody's family. Also confirm my suspicions of that. It's great how this movie just really kind of just bursted out into the scene, and especially Jordan Peele. People know his comedy background, Key and Peele, Mad TV. But to see him kind of burst out with this and just shock the hell out of everybody of how good it was, how great it was. This great horror film, this great allegory for just white liberals, just that whole system. It was just really fantastic how this film has kind of entered just pop culture. Like when somebody says the new way to call somebody a coon is not to say, just say coon. It's like the sunken place. Like you're in the sunken place. Like that's like the new thing now. How that's just entered pop culture like that is great. And like the other two movies I listed, The Thing and Halloween, I definitely, this movie came out 3 years ago. And I think it still will be a movie remembered 20, 30, 40 years from now. Like it'd be just a movie that important.
Definitely giving the blueprint on how you revive a franchise. Just forget everything that happened after the original movie and just focus on that and showcase the elements of what really worked about that movie, and also have a message about post-traumatic stress and how that can be passed down from generations.
Yeah, I mean, so it's very, very great film. Number 4 for me, The Fly. David Cronenberg, Jeff Goldblum. Love this film. It is probably one of my favorite kind of like body horror films, I guess, when it comes to that kind of territory. The scene where Jeff Goldblum fully turns into the Fly is absolutely grotesque and still amazingly done. It also, like a lot of these kind of newer movies, watching like The Fly and The Thing, it really makes you appreciate practical effects. It really made, like, even so many years now that these films have come out, 20, 30 years, like 20 plus years, it still looks really good. You know what I mean? Like the scene in The Thing where they see the creature opens up, like they're doing an examination, and the creature just opens up its mouth, and the dude's trying to do chest compressions, and his arms just go in, and he just bites him off. Like that still looks really good. The Fly, the scene when he just fully transforms into the creature, just actually how slimy he is, just how gross he looks, just looks really good. And it just makes me really appreciate that practical effect type look that you don't really see a lot of sometimes in horror movies. They mostly just go for the CGI, which I think just does it a disservice. And it's a real shame because that is just really, I think it lasts longer than something like CGI will. You also have Gina Davis in this film, who's also very good. Jeff Goldblum is just pure nerd sexiness, which is just amazing to watch. It's just kind of, like Jeff Goldblum was just like, he's just like this weird sex idol, that came up at this guy, like kind of not the conventional looking one, but he just became one from Jurassic Park and The Fly.
This is all news to me.
I mean, Jeff Goldblum, a lot of people love Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he was kind of like a sex idol back then. Still is kind of in some ways, man. I mean, the dude's got style. He's still picking up 30-year-old chicks. I mean, you know what I mean? Even though he's like,
good for him.
Yeah, he's in his 60s now, I think. So.
Yep, he's in his 60s and has better drip than I ever will.
Yeah, same.
So he's great. So it's an amazing film. Number 5, Evil Dead 2. Like it much better than Evil Dead 1. Evil Dead 1 is, to me, a little bit more basic horror film. Evil Dead 2 is more of the comedy horror aspect of it. Probably one of my favorite comedy horror films. This and the next film I'm about to talk about next after this one. And also it's just a true testament to just guerrilla filmmaking. You got Sam Raimi. This is one of his first films. And, it's just people going out there in a crew doing these kind of just like this cabin in the woods horror movie. And it really is kind of inspiring in that sense, to see what they were able to do, how creative they could be with such limited money. And you look up, all the cool shots they did with the film, all kind of real practically done, all like really kind of just like these, you think like, oh man, that's such a cool shot, like these zoom in shots that they do with, you see like this creature that is in the film, and it's just kind of the camera, and it's just following everybody around. And you think like, oh man, that must have been maybe a difficult shot to do. And you see like it's just a camera on a plank of wood, and then the people just kind of running it at the actors. You know what I mean? It's nothing like all that real complicated. And Evil Dead 2, the humor I think works really well. Bruce Campbell's a star. I mean, you know what I mean? Like he really is. And he's just perfect for this role, and a role that kind of would define him for the rest of his career, playing Ash Williams. And I mean, he's one of my, also Ash Williams is kind of like one of my favorite movie characters, not even just horror movie characters, but favorite movie characters. And just to see his evolution of that character, the way he transforms from being kind of this meek kind of guy to being this badass action hero at the end, is just really impressive to see. Also, and after this, number 6, Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead, which is the Edgar Wright film starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Also one among my favorite horror comedies. Real good breakdown of the horror movie genre, in particular the zombie movie genre, the zombie horror movie genre. References to like Dawn of the Dead and other various zombie movies. I just absolutely love it. Like every time you watch the movie, you always catch something new. Just a perfect film for that. And I absolutely adore it. Number 7, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Love this film. Again, it goes to kind of just the minimal effect of it. Like you don't need big effects to be scary. This one is just some creepy ass, country ass white people in a house, and a big motherfucker with a chainsaw and some skin on his face, and it's absolutely terrifying. And also, in this film, it has one of the best performances I've ever seen in a horror film for me, still to this day, and that's the final girl in the movie. Because throughout the film, you genuinely are scared for her life. Like the amount of fear that she conveys throughout this entire movie, because it's an entire movie just her screaming and running. Like that's 90% of what she does in the movie, and she's fantastic in it. Like you just want to jump through the screen, and every time I watch it, I just want to jump through the screen and save that white woman. I just really want to do it. I just was like, God, I mean, she's just in so much trouble, and I just really want to do it. I think she should have honestly been nominated for a performance in that movie, because it was just like, God damn, this is terrifying to watch. Just watching it, and I think they actually did say she did actually have like some psychological effects from that movie that kind of messed her up a little bit at filming it, but it is really great. Just kind of that style of it, how it kind of has that old school effect. This is that 70s kind of filmmaking, that grain on it that really makes it really, really scary. Number 8, Dawn of the Dead. This is the 2004 one. This isn't the George A. Romero one. This is the one made by Zack Snyder. And I think this is still Zack Snyder's best film, I would say.
Let's get to the real creative force behind that. That was James Gunn's script.
James Gunn's script, but it was Zack. I mean, I think also his direction was also very good in that film as well. I mean, let's give some credit, to the guy. And I think it does a very good job. And a lot of these movies that I've mentioned are remakes, like The Thing, The Fly. They're all remakes of like movies from the 50s. And this movie is a movie from the 70s, the George A. Romero film Dawn of the Dead, which basically, I mean, that Night of the Living Dead, I mean, those were the things that are huge, temples in the whole horror movie genre, especially the zombie movies, like those things. Like George A. Romero is a horror icon. I mean, he's just a legend. And to see his brilliance in like Dawn of the Dead, 1978, especially, because, in his films there's always a good allegory for other things, like in Dawn of the Dead, like, allegory for consumerism, and, because it was like, it takes place mostly in a mall and everything like that. So just the greatness of that, and then to see it updated I think it does the movie justice, even more so than a lot of other remakes do, and I really enjoyed it a lot. After that film, for me, number 9, Cabin in the Woods. It's a movie that I wish I had written. I love this film. It is Joss Whedon film. No, I mean, sorry, he didn't direct that film. I'm sorry.
I was about to say he did.
He didn't direct.
That was directed by Drew Goddard.
Yeah, Drew Goddard. Sorry.
Yeah, Drew Goddard, who was a part of Joss Whedon's camp. He was one of the writers on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and would eventually go on to write and be the showrunner for the first season of Daredevil.
Yeah. Drew Goddard directed it. Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard wrote the screenplay of it. And it's a movie I'm jealous of because it's a movie that, I mean, how many times have you ever seen a horror movie and make this feel like, why do these characters do this? Why do these horny teenagers fuck in the woods and not just fuck in the cabin or fuck in the bed like regular people? Why they gotta go out in the woods? Why do they do this? Why do they do that? Well, it explains all those things and is it's like, duh, I should have just written a movie about this. You know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious I should have done it, and they did it. And it turned out to this. It turned out to be this. It's one of Chris Hemsworth's first kind of, I think, major roles. Because I think
it feels like the movie was on the shelf because it came out in 2012. I think when Chris Hemsworth got all really swole for Thor, and he was in shape, but he was still really skinny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's, you can tell been maybe sit on the shelf a little bit, and the success of maybe Thor helped, catapult it going out there. And it has tons of horror movie references throughout the entire film. Really breaks down the whole horror movie genre, but it's not like a parody or anything like that. It's not like a comedy film. It's like still a horror film, still more of a legitimate horror film than straight horror.
It's a horror comedy.
In some aspects, but I think it leans a little bit more horror than comedy in a lot of things. Like Shaun of the Dead is
a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it's funny. Don't get me wrong, the movie is funny, and everything. So I mean, I thought it was absolutely brilliant what they did. The script is really great, really beautifully directed. The ending is really amazing. I loved it a lot. And the number 10 for me would be Misery, which is the movie based on the Stephen King novel. It's what got Kathy Bates her Oscar. Also saw James Caan in it. Brilliant performance by Kathy Bates. Probably one of the best performances in cinema. The absolute just terror you have for this woman is incredible. And I absolutely, really, really do love this movie. Chayse, toss it to you.
All right, so you took 2 of mine. So I'm gonna just repeat them. Get Out. I think this is something that you didn't say. The theater experience of Get Out was something to behold. I feel sorry for anybody who didn't see it in a theater, because if you saw it in a theater with a bunch of black folk, it is the funniest movie to experience over and over again. I may have seen that movie at least 3 times just because of the experience. And there was a lot of layers to it too that warranted at least a second viewing. But the third viewing was just to see how people react to this and that and the third. So that in itself was a great time. The other movie that you took from me was Cabin in the Woods. Even though you say it's not a parody, I took it as such. I laughed a lot. It made fun of everything that I truly don't like about horror movies, and kind of, it made it make sense, and it made it in a funny parody way. And I enjoyed it a lot. So to the actual horror movie in my list, Train to Busan is by far my favorite.
I love that movie.
It's a zombie film, but you got to give it a chance because it's a character-driven zombie film rather than a reactionary zombie film.
It's a character-driven zombie film that has one of the saddest endings I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, and one of there's sort of like a, I don't want to call it a cliche, but it is a trope where you have the hyper masculine person and their daughter and or surrogate child go on an adventure to get somewhere. But I feel like this is one of the best of that trope, because you truly see the father develop, and truly, like, yes, he's distanced from his child because his child is estranged from him, but he does care. He does love her. So it was a sweet movie to see. Very painful ending, but it was a great movie. Easily my favorite horror movie. The next one is Hereditary. This introduced me to Toni Collette, who is a phenomenal actor. She really did deserve an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, that's some bullshit that she didn't get nominated.
But it's because they don't respect horror for whatever reason in the Academy, which is something that I hope they do change one day. Something I just actually found out though that I thought was hilarious was that the son is Alex Wolff from the Naked Brothers band, which I think is fucking hilarious. But I like movies that make me question the narrative, the people I'm following. I love psychological thrillers, so movies like this where I'm unsure whether or not what's going on is actually going on, I love that. And then when you find out what is truly going on at the end, it's like, oh wow, why didn't I see any of this coming? Like it's somewhat obvious at times, but it's, how do I describe it? It just keeps you guessing with whether or not this is a mental illness or if this is something supernatural, and I love that. And that also ties me into my third movie, Babadook, which is another one of those where, now granted, the Babadook itself, I'm not scared of. It's kind of a cheesy looking monster, but the concept of a mother feeling like she might lose it, but she wants to protect her son from that. I like that narrative, and it's also very character driven. After that, I have It Follows, which is, I think it's, after thinking about it, I think it's terrible, but I enjoyed it. It's such a cheesy, like, it's such a cheesy allegory for like condemning fornication, but like it was a fun time for me. Yeah, so there's that. And then I had Hush, which I know is not really like a horror movie, but it was suspenseful and I enjoyed it. It's basically about like a guy it's about a lady, a deaf lady, that is basically about to get her house broken in by this random stranger that just enjoys doing shit like this. And I enjoyed like her figuring out how to handle that situation. And the back and forth between them was very engaging and at times very scary. Like there were moments I was like, oh, this is scarier than an actual horror film. This is, very suspenseful. And in my opinion, humans are more scary than monsters at times. And this was one of those. And then the last movie is a recent movie that just came out, which I actually just rewatched again. Scare Me. I feel like even though it's not like a horror film, I feel like it like really sets the vibe for October. And after rewatching it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more in the second viewing. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it was because I knew what I was getting into, but if you give it a chance, it is just people telling stories. So if you give it a chance, and you let the actors perform the stories for you. It's a fun time. I suggest you put it on at like midnight. You know, get some popcorn. You chilling. Really play it up like you're at the fireside with them. I had a good time the second time I watched it. A really great time.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for me.
I think that's.
How about you, Nick?
I think that was just you simping. I think that's what it is. But Nick, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, it was big simping, but you know,
You son of a bitch! You stole like half my list.
Really?
Yeah. Like Train to Busan was on my list. It Follows also, but luckily I'm a pretty big horror fan, so I have more.
Okay, you have your backups.
All right. So this list is in no particular order, and I'm cheating a little because I have like some series on my list. So the first one I'm going to mention is what I've called the Nancy trilogy of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So that'd be the first movie, number 3, Dream Warriors, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Okay.
I feel like those are the absolute best of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Those are the ones that really were effective as far as creating horror and gave us a lot of iconic moments in horror. New Nightmare especially was Wes Craven working out the kinks for what would eventually become Scream and the whole genre of meta horror.
Okay.
The next one I have a personal connection with because it was the first horror movie I saw in the theater that I actually liked. It was Insidious.
Okay.
I heard of it.
Which most people know is that ghost movie with discount Darth Maul.
Yeah. Patrick Wilson, yeah. Was also in it.
Mm-hmm. And that movie, it was really good at being creepy. It did a lot of jump scares, but the more frightening stuff were the things that were lingering in the background. And that was a really fun time and really fun on a rewatch, and especially considering that was the movie that I think really saved James Wan's career, because there was a long time where he wasn't working. It was between that movie Dead Silence with all the puppets he did and Insidious, and I think that was 3 years where he wasn't working. And now he's become one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Okay. Next on my list is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Leaning a little more into the comedy route. Just poking fun. Another movie poking fun at the slasher genre in general, and really addressing like people's biases towards hillbillies, because Tucker and Dale are like two of the sweetest guys ever, and kids just keep dying around them, and every time that movie just has me dying laughing.
Yeah, I really enjoy that film. It's actually on my list for something else in this. So.
I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like horror.
Okay, and also on my list is a movie, The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Okay.
This is a movie starring Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch as two coroners that are performing an autopsy on, a Jane Doe, and mysterious stuff happens to them throughout the night. And the really fun part of that is the mystery of who this body was and what is going on, because it gets really, really strange and really frightening.
Okay.
Also on my list is, I know this movie gets a lot of crap because of its connection with Saw, but I really enjoyed The Collector and its sequel, The Collection.
Okay.
Those are two movies that had such a deep rooted connection to Saw that I feel like it gets unfairly criticized, when it's really a very fun spook house home invasion movie, where you have the protagonist who's having to use his brains and his wits to get around the traps.
Okay.
Okay.
What else?
Also on my list is Train to Busan. Chase, you asshole, stealing that from me. Halloween, the 76 and the 2018 version. Also, fuck you, Josh.
This is what happens when you go last.
And the last one I'm gonna bring up for this segment is a Korean film called "I Saw the Devil," which this movie is about a Korean special Secret Service agent whose wife is murdered by this serial killer, and it's about his quest for vengeance. And
Bless you.
excuse me, just
Hey, okay?
and this is about this guy's slow descent into madness, about the lengths he is going to get vengeance for his wife. And it's really violent. It's really horrifying at times.
Okay.
And one of the best Korean horror movies I've seen.
I have to check it out. I have to find that one. I hope you all really had a good time listening to this. To anybody listening to this, hey, you always know what to do. Go look, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what we did wrong, let us know what we did right. Constructive criticism is never a bad thing. Social media, check us out. Twitter, The Afternoon Tune. Facebook, The Afternoon Tune. Just everything, The Afternoon Tune. If you're listening to this on YouTube, let it be known to you that we are now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Apple Podcasts, don't forget to always review that as well. That also helps it out, boosts us up, 5 stars, maybe a review. Maybe give us a review. Review if you all are in the mood to write one. That's also very helpful. So, hey, all those things like that help boost you up. Can't do this without you. All that good people support shit.
To quote Homelander, you guys are the real heroes.
Yeah, you guys are the real heroes. You guys get it done. You know what I mean? Chase, what you want to know where people can find you?
You can find me at Mr. Chayse Mac at Twitter, Instagram, wherever. It's spelled Mr. M.R. Chayse, Chayse, and then Mac, MAC. How about you, Nick?
All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Night and Day Nick. That's spelled NIGHT, the letter N, DAY, Nick.
All right, awesome. So to all you people out there listening to this, hope you had a great time listening to this. And don't forget to always stay tuned.